Chapter 18:16. Awesome, this is great. Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief. He felt refreshed. At that moment, Lu Ming looked outside the Pill Furnace Mountain. There, a figure flashed over. Wherever the figure passed, the space rippled like water. It was as if the figure was shuttling through space. Bubbles, where did you go to steal sacred medicine? Lu Ming smiled and looked at the little girl who appeared in front of him. Brother Lu Ming, this is bad. Sister Huang Ling is in danger. Bubbles said. There was a hint of anxiety in her big eyes. What's going on? Lu Ming's expression changed. Bubbles immediately began to chatter. It turned out that Bubbles had sneaked into a place where the Wan clan planted sacred medicine to steal sacred medicine. She had inadvertently heard a secret. The top genius of the Wan clan, Wan Jingyang, had found out where Huang Ling was cultivating. He wanted to join forces with a group of elites to secretly kill Huang Ling, the Wan clan again. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with cold murderous intent. He knew that the Wan clan wanted revenge. Huang Ling and Lu Ming were very close. Some people even said that Huang Ling was Lu Ming's woman. Therefore, they wanted to kill Huang Ling to take revenge on Lu Ming. Bubbles, do you know where Huang Ling is cultivating? Lu Ming asked. I heard from the Wan clan that it's in the Wan Flame Mountain. Bubbles said. Where is the Wan Flame Mountain? There's no time to lose. Let's go and find out. Let's go. Lu Ming took a step forward and turned into a stream of light. He tore through the air. Not long after, Lu Ming and Bubbles came to a gathering place. After finding out the location of the Wan Flame Mountain, they quickly headed there. The Wan Flame Mountain was a mountain range filled with flames. Usually, it was the favorite place for those who cultivated the law of fire. Comprehending the law of fire there was more effective than other places. Huang Ling cultivated the undying flame law. Normally, she would often come to the myriad flame mountain to cultivate. In a valley in the 1,000 flame mountain, flames were burning fiercely. Huang Ling was sitting cross-legged in the valley. An immortal heavenly phoenix was flying around her. The surrounding flames continued to gather. Suddenly, Huang Ling opened her eyes and looked at the entrance of the valley. She shouted, "Who is it?" As expected of the immortal heavenly phoenix body. Your spiritual sense is quite sharp. A cold laugh was heard. Then, 5 figures appeared at the entrance of the valley. Wan Jingyang. Huang Ling's face sank. The leader of the group was the #1 heaven's favorite of the Wan clan, Wan Jingyang. Behind him were 4 other experts, either peak great sages or great circle great sages. These people were almost 50 years old and were at the edge of the younger generation. This is my cultivation ground. What are you doing here? Huang Ling said in a deep voice. What am I doing? Wan Jingyang's eyes flashed with cold murderous intent. He said, of course I'm here to kill you. That bastard Lu Ming made my Wan clan lose a true emperor. This is irreconcilable. However, he's hiding in the Great Development Pill Hall and doesn't dare to come out. I'll kill you first. As Lu Ming's woman, I'm afraid your death will hurt Lu Ming. Ha ha ha. Huang Ling blushed slightly. It seemed that the outside world had misunderstood and thought that Huang Ling was Lu Ming's woman. However, she did not refute. Instead, a powerful aura emanated from her body. She said, it won't be that easy for you to kill me. So you've reached Great Circle Great Sage. But you still have to die. Wan Jingyang sneered. A terrifying aura also erupted from his body. Great Circle Great Sage. Huang Ling's expression changed drastically. Wan Jingyang's cultivation was at peak Great Sage. She did not expect him to have reached Great Circle Great Sage. If Wan Jingyang's cultivation was still at the peak of the Supreme Saint, Huang Ling could still fight him with the Immortal Flame Law. However, he had broken through to the Great Saint perfection, and with the help of the other 4 masters, Huang Ling was not confident. Swoosh! Huang Ling did not hesitate. The phantom of a phoenix flapped around her. Her body soared into the sky and flew up. Roar! A wolf's howl reverberated through the sky. A huge wolf claw grabbed at Huang Ling, phoenix wing strike. Huang Ling's expression changed. She slashed her palm upward. A phoenix wing formed and slashed at the wolf claw like a divine blade. Bam! Huang Ling's body trembled. She was hit by a powerful force and fell back into the valley. Roar! Roar! A few wolf howls could be heard in the sky. A few huge wolves appeared in the sky. Sky Wolf Pagoda. Huang Ling's expression darkened. The giant wolves looked at Huang Ling with cold eyes. If the Phoenix Palace finds out that you've joined forces to kill me, we won't let this go. Do you want to start a war between the major forces? Huang Ling shouted. So what if they find out? We've only sent out the younger generation. We haven't sent out the older generation. Wan Jingyang sneered. Those who came with them were around 50 years old. They were considered the younger generation. Indeed, they had not sent out any of the older generation. As for the younger generation, there were no restrictions on whether they could fight one-on-one or be surrounded. Moreover, as long as you're dead, no one will know that we did it. Kill! Wan Jingyang shouted. The acupuncture points all over his body lit up. Sacred weapons flew out. He held a supreme sacred weapon in his hand. His aura was wild as he charged at Huang Ling, 9 phoenix strikes. Huang Ling's arms shook like the wings of a phoenix. She blasted out 9 moves in a row. Phoenixes formed, tore through the void, and charged at Wan Jingyang. Wan Jingyang held the supreme sacred weapon and blasted it out continuously. He collided with Huang Ling. After 9 consecutive explosions, Huang Ling's body trembled and she retreated. After all, Wan Jingyang was the top genius of the Wan clan. His cultivation had reached the great sage realm. His spiritual body was also a mid-level heaven spiritual body. His combat strength was astonishing. Although Huang Ling had mastered the law of kingly path, she was still no match for him when her cultivation was so far behind. The law of kingly path is indeed powerful. But you still have to die. Kill! Wan Jingyang shouted and charged at Huang Ling again. Deathless cage! Huang Ling shouted. The flames in the area gathered toward her frantically, forming a flame cage and trapping Wan Jingyang inside. Boom! Boom! Wan Jingyang continued to bombard the flaming cage, but he did not manage to break through the flaming cage. At the same time, Huang Ling rushed toward the entrance of the valley. Let's attack together. Don't let her escape. Wan Jingyang shouted. The few elites of the Wan clan who came with Wan Jingyang attacked together. Terrifying attacks shot toward Huang Ling. At the same time, several giant wolves roared in the sky and pounced at Huang Ling, 9 phoenix strikes. Huang Ling roared. Her arms shook, and she blasted out terrifying attacks. 9 phoenixes pounced out. Among the 4 elites of the Wan clan, one of them was a great sage peak. 2 phoenixes pounced on him and killed him directly. He turned into ashes in the flames. The other few people were also greatly shaken as they retreated one after another. Chapter 18-17. Huang Ling repelled a few experts from the Wan family and rushed toward the entrance of the valley. She was about to rush out of the valley. Get lost. At the entrance of the valley, sword radiance burst forth. A terrifying sword radiance tore toward Huang Ling. The power of the sword radiance was extremely terrifying. Huang Ling's expression changed. At the critical moment, a flaming sword appeared in her hand and blocked in front of her. Bam! There was a terrifying collision. Flames shot in all directions. Huang Ling's body retreated rapidly. She took more than 10 steps back before she could stabilize herself. A few figures appeared at the entrance of the valley. Demonic aura filled the sky. Falcon, it's you. Huang Ling's heart sank. The figures that appeared at the entrance of the valley were experts from the Sky Bird Palace. The leader was the strongest genius of the younger generation of the Sky Bird Palace, Falcon. Huang Ling, to be honest, it's a pity for such a beautiful woman like you to die like this. Falcon stepped forward first. His eyes were as sharp as knives. He looked at Huang Ling passionately. His gaze kept scanning Huang Ling's body. Bam! Behind him, the flaming cage exploded. Wan Zhengyang rushed out of the flaming cage. Cold murderous intent exploded as he charged toward Huang Ling. In the sky, a few giant wolves from the Sky Wolf Pagoda blocked the way. Huang Ling was in a desperate situation. Everyone, it's a pity to kill this woman. Why don't we cripple her first and bring her back to play with her? Falcon licked his lips. His eyes kept scanning Huang Ling's curvaceous body. His gaze became more and more passionate. Falcon, if you want to play with her, sure. I have an idea. Wan Zhengyang's eyes darted around as if he was brewing a vicious plan. He said, you take Huang Ling and play outside the Pill Furnace Mountain. Lure Lu Ming out. We'll set an ambush and kill Lu Ming in one fell swoop. As long as we send only the younger generation, the experts of the Great Pill Development Palace won't say anything. Lu Ming's death will be in vain. Haha. After Wan Zhengyang finished speaking, he laughed proudly. That's a good idea. However, if the people from the Phoenix Palace find out, they'll go crazy. Falcon's eyes darted around as if he was considering whether the idea was feasible. We'll find a way to hide it from the people from the Phoenix Palace. Falcon, are you so timid that you don't even dare to do this? Wan Zhengyang sneered. Who says I don't dare? The flames in Falcon's eyes grew even more intense. Despicable and shameless. Don't even think about it. Phoenix Spirit let out a long cry. Her entire body was about to turn into flames. Endless flames gathered towards her. She turned into a flaming phoenix and charged towards the sky. Get down. Above, several giant wolves attacked at the same time, blasting towards Huang Ling. A series of collisions rang out. Huang Ling was alone and her cultivation was weaker. In the end, she was unable to charge out and was blasted down. Kill. Holy weapons flew around Wan Zhengyang. Battle weapon Qi soared into the sky and charged towards Huang Ling. At the same time, Falcon and the others also charged towards Huang Ling. Huang Ling did her best to fight the crowd, but after a few moves, her body flew far away. She spat out a few mouthfuls of blood and her face was pale. However, her body was still filled with raging flames. She rushed to the side, wanting to rush out. Immortal heavenly phoenix body, immortal fire laws, your vitality is indeed astonishing. But today, your fate is sealed. Accept your fate. Wan Zhengyang said coldly. He took a step forward, and more than 200 saint weapons streaked across the sky, making terrifying whistling sounds as they charged towards Huang Ling. Falcon and the others also attacked at the same time. Wan Zhengyang and Falcon alone were more powerful than Huang Ling, let alone so many experts attacking at the same time. Huang Ling was no match for them at all. After a few moves, she was blasted away again, spitting out mouthfuls of blood. If it were not for her body and the immortal fire laws that were extremely mysterious, her vitality was astonishing. If it were anyone else, they would have been killed. Even so, Huang Ling was still severely injured. Swoosh! Swoosh! Wan Zhengyang, Falcon, and the experts of Sky Wolf Pagoda, a total of more than 10 people, surrounded Huang Ling. Huang Ling had no way out. Everyone, let's cripple her. Such a beauty, she must taste good. Falcon's eyes were even more lustful. Huang Ling's heart sank. Then, a ruthless look flashed in her eyes. She would rather die than fall into Falcon's hands and be used to threaten Lu Ming. Boom! The flames on her body went berserk. She wants to self-destruct. Stop her! Wan Zhengyang shouted. More than 200 sacred weapons gathered, forming a terrifying suppressive force. They suppressed Huang Ling, trying to stop her from self-destructing. Don't even think about it. Falcon roared and turned into a huge black divine eagle. He flapped his wings, which were as big as a mountain, and blasted toward Huang Ling. Boom! Boom! A terrifying force shook. Huang Ling's flames were extinguished. Her body was blasted away, and she spat out another mouthful of blood. Her face was extremely pale. Her face was filled with despair. There were too many people on the other side. She could not even self-destruct. You want to self-destruct? Dream on. Wait a moment. I'll make you feel like you're in heaven. Falcon shouted coldly. He pounced toward Huang Ling, wanting to destroy her cultivation. Huang Ling was injured, and it was difficult for her to dodge. Just as Falcon's attack was about to hit Huang Ling's body, the air around Huang Ling rippled like water. Then, Huang Ling's body disappeared like a phantom. Boom! The Falcon's attack landed on the ground, causing the ground to rumble and explode, creating a huge crater. Who's there? Falcon's gaze was as sharp as a knife. He shouted and scanned the surroundings. Finally, he stopped in the sky above the entrance of the valley. There, a young man in a black robe stood in the void, exuding a terrifying murderous intent. A little girl of 2 or 3 years old sat on him, staring at Wan Zhengyang and the others with an unfriendly expression. Of course, these two people were Lu Ming and Bubbles. Lu Ming, why are you here? Huang Ling stood beside Lu Ming, full of surprise. Earlier, it was Bubble who had made a move and saved Huang Ling at the critical moment. Bubbles, I accidentally heard that Wan Zhengyang and the others were going to attack you, so I rushed over. It seems that I'm still a little late. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming. Why is he here? When Wan Zhengyang and the others saw Lu Ming, their expressions changed drastically. They could not help but take a step back. Lu Ming's notoriety was too great. A month ago, he had refined a shifter emperor in front of everyone. It was terrifying. What are you afraid of? This is not the Great Pill Evolution Palace. He can't control the Great Pill Evolution Formation. He's just an ordinary saint. Wan Zhengyang shouted to stabilize the morale. That's right. He came at the right time. We can kill him here and save ourselves some effort. Falcon also said. That's right. Let's kill him and avenge the Shifter Emperor. The giant wolves of Sky Wolf Pagoda were even more murderous. Chapter 18:18. Huang Ling, you're injured. Enter the mountain river diagram to heal your injuries. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Huang Ling. Lu Ming, you're alone. Don't fight them head-on. Huang Ling said worriedly. She was afraid that Lu Ming would fight Wan Zhengyang and the rest alone. Don't worry. If I can't beat them, I have Bubbles with me. I can retreat without worry. Lu Ming nodded. Only then did Huang Ling relax and enter the mountain river diagram. Today, all of you will die. Lu Ming exuded a terrifying murderous intent. His cold eyes swept across Wan Zhengyang, Falcon, and the rest. Hee, do you think this is the Great Pill Evolution Hall? You're the one who's going to die. Kill! Falcon roared. He flapped his wings and pounced toward Lu Ming. His wings were like blades. They whistled out and slashed toward Lu Ming. Falcon was the top sky pride of Sky Bird Temple. He was in the Great Sage Perfection realm. His attack was terrifying. If Lu Ming's spiritual body had not evolved, it would be difficult for him to fight against it. But now, Lu Ming was not afraid at all. The law of chaos flowed. The suppressing hell skill erupted. With a palm strike, a phantom of the suppressing hell monument appeared in Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming seemed to be carrying the suppressing hell monument as he blasted it toward Falcon. Boom! Lu Ming's palm collided with Falcon's wings. Falcon's body shook violently. He retreated quickly, feathers flying. His eyes were filled with extreme shock. He was shocked by Lu Ming's power. In the previous attack, he felt a terrifying power surging from Lu Ming's palm as if it was going to suppress him. Lu Ming's cultivation was only in the Great Sage Minor Mastery. How could he have such terrifying power? He stood in the Great Sage Perfection realm, while Lu Ming was only in the Great Sage Minor Mastery. He had just stepped into the Great Sage realm. With such a huge difference in cultivation, he was no match for him in a head-on collision. This was unbelievable. Bam! Lu Ming stepped on the void and charged toward Falcon. Let's attack together. Falcon roared. All of a sudden, the howls of wolves filled the sky and the wings broke through the air. The other experts of Sky Wolf Pagoda and Sky Bird Palace charged towards Lu Ming. At the same time, Wan Zhengyang led the Wan family's experts and charged towards Lu Ming. Bubble, stop those people from the Wan clan first. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Bubble. Leave it to me. Bubble flew out and waved her hand. Space rippled like water, blocking Wan Zhengyang and the others' path. At the same time, terrifying spacetime power surged towards Wan Zhengyang and the others. Wan Zhengyang and the others could only resist with all their might. Lu Ming, on the other hand, had a battle sword of the level of a saint weapon in his hand. He charged forward and lashed out with the battle sword. Terrifying power flowed into the battle sword, giving it the power to split mountains. It slashed towards a giant wolf. Roar! The giant wolf roared and erupted with all of its strength. Its entire body was suffused with divine light as it blasted towards Lu Ming. This giant wolf was also a sky pride of Sky Wolf Pagoda. Although he was not the top sky pride of Sky Wolf Pagoda, he was still one of the top few sky prides and was very powerful. However, at this moment, he could not stop Lu Ming's sword. The sword slashed down and broke through his attack. Then, it slashed down forcefully at his head. No! The giant wolf roared. In the next moment, the battle sword slashed down. Blood spurted out as the giant wolf was split in half. Puff! Then, Lu Ming's battle sword slashed horizontally. A powerful bird was killed by the sword, and feathers flew everywhere. How can he be so strong? The others trembled. Lu Ming was only a lesser great saint, but his combat strength was terrifyingly strong. This time, the weakest of the three major forces who came this time was a peak great saint, but they could not stop Lu Ming's sword. Kill! Lu Ming shouted, and the divine sword art burst out continuously. At the same time, he stepped into the air, and the law of array Dao was activated. Dense runes appeared out of thin air, covering the remaining experts. Lu Ming's sword chi was like a rainbow as it slashed continuously. Puff! Puff! Another 2 experts were killed, and their blood stained the sky. Chi! The sound of something breaking through the air was heard. Falcon found an opportunity to launch a sneak attack. His terrifying sharp claws grabbed at Lu Ming. A layer of black light shone on his claws, and they were extremely sharp. Clang! Lu Ming slashed out with his sword, and the battle sword buzzed. Falcon was sent flying again, and blood seeped out of his claws. Chaotic Calamity Finger. Lu Ming pointed a few fingers consecutively. A few huge fingers were pointed at Falcon and the remaining experts. During this time, Lu Ming's Chaotic Calamity Finger had been steadily increasing, and it had already reached 55%. The power of a 55% Chaotic Calamity Finger was terrifying. It was comparable to 75% of a normal law divine power. Only an absolute saint could cultivate to this level. The Chaotic Calamity Finger crushed. Other than Falcon, the other experts were instantly killed, and their bodies exploded under the Chaotic Calamity Finger. Falcon also spat out large mouthfuls of blood, and his feathers fluttered. Whoosh! Lu Ming put away his battle sword and stepped out. Like a flickering light, he instantly appeared in front of Falcon and slashed down with his palm. Falcon screamed and fought back with all his might. Dong! Dong! The two constantly clashed, and in an instant, they had exchanged more than 10 blows. After each collision, Falcon frantically retreated. Although Lu Ming's cultivation was far behind Falcon's, Lu Ming's current spiritual body had already reached the peak of superior heavenly spiritual body. Moreover, Lu Ming's spiritual body had also refined a strand of chaotic qi, so the strength of his spiritual body was far above that of a superior heavenly spiritual body. At the same time, Lu Ming cultivated the law of chaos, one of the 10 most powerful laws in the world, and the emperor of all laws. Moreover, Lu Ming had 2 saint hearts, and the cultivation of his saint power couldn't be measured by common sense. Although Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the initial level of a supreme saint, because he had 2 saint hearts, the strength of his saint power wasn't weaker than that of a supreme saint greater mastery. With so many factors added together, Lu Ming had crossed such a large distance and suppressed Falcon. This Falcon was also a top genius. If it were an ordinary person, even an absolute saint, Lu Ming could fight with him. Bang! After more than 10 collisions, Falcon crashed into the wall of the valley. Flames flew, gravel flew, and feathers fluttered. Falcon coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. Wan Jingyang, help me! Falcon roared. His heart was trembling, and he felt a fatal danger. But at this moment, Wan Jingyang was so scared that his face turned pale. Lu Ming's combat power was too terrifying. Ordinary supreme saints were as vulnerable as babies in front of Lu Ming. Even Falcon was no match for Lu Ming. Lu Ming's combat power was far beyond his expectations. At this moment, he didn't want to help Falcon. He just wanted to escape. Explode. A crazed look flashed across Wan Jingyang's face as he detonated a saint weapon. The terrifying power shattered the spatial defense that Bubble had set up. Several of the Wan family's experts rushed out of Bubble's defense. But they didn't help Falcon. Instead, they rushed into the sky and fled frantically into the distance. Falcon, you block them first. I'll go find experts to save you. Wan Jingyang's voice came from afar. Damn it! Falcon roared, revealing a look of despair. It seems that no one will come to save you. Die, seal. Chapter 1819. In the collision with Falcon just now, Lu Ming had secretly used the Scroll of Seals. At this time, it exploded with shocking power, making it difficult for Falcon to circulate his cultivation. No, Lu Ming, you can't kill me, Falcon screamed in horror. Ridiculous, kill. Lu Ming pointed out a finger and formed the chaotic finger of calamity, crushing toward Falcon. Falcon was already sealed and could not use much of his strength. It was difficult for him to resist. He was crushed by the chaotic finger of calamity and slammed heavily into the wall of the valley. The wall kept exploding. In the end, Lu Ming blasted another valley out. Falcon was already torn into pieces, his spirit destroyed. He was the top genius of Sky Bird Palace. He never dreamed that he would die here today. He was invited by Wan Jingyang. When he heard that he was here to kill Huang Ling, he agreed without hesitation. He had been coveting Huang Ling for a long time. Initially, he thought that with his cultivation, together with Wan Jingyang and the rest, it would be easy to deal with Huang Ling. He never thought that he would meet Lu Ming here. Moreover, Lu Ming's combat strength had reached a terrifying level. He could actually kill him. Wan Jingyang, you can't escape. Lu Ming looked in the direction that Wan Jingyang escaped with a cold gaze. Big brother Lu Ming, leave it to me. Bubbles appeared on Lu Ming's shoulder and controlled the spacetime laws to envelop Lu Ming's body. Swoosh. Lu Ming moved and disappeared on the spot. He chased after Wan Jingyang at a terrifying speed. Wherever Lu Ming passed, the space rippled. Lu Ming seemed to be traveling through the void. His speed was extremely fast. Not long after, he saw a few figures flying at high speed in front. However, he did not see Wang Jingyang's figure. Obviously, Wang Jingyang was the fastest. He had already left the others behind and flew in front. When those people saw Lu Ming chasing after them, they were scared out of their wits. Seeing that they couldn't escape, they clenched their teeth and charged at Lu Ming, wanting to fight to the death. But the result was already decided. Lu Ming killed them all in just a few moves. Big brother Lu Ming, over there. Bubbles pointed to the right. Bubble could sense the situation far away through space. As long as it wasn't too far away, Wang Jingyang wouldn't be able to escape. With a slight movement, Lu Ming flew to the right. Soon. Not far ahead, there's a mine belonging to the Wan clan. There's a martial monarch expert guarding it. As long as I get there, I'll be fine. I hope those pieces of trash can hold on for a while longer. Wang Jingyang raised his speed to the limit and flew towards a mountain range. The Wan clan needed too many weapons to cultivate the myriad weapon scripture. Therefore, the Wan clan would use all means to obtain weapons. For example, he had established the myriad spirit exchange, established various merchant associations, and traveled to various places, mainly to earn origin stones and buy various weapons. Moreover, he would open up various mines and refine various weapons himself. In the ancient Moon Holy Land, the Wan clan had many mines. There was a large mine near Wanyan Mountain that unearthed precious refining materials. There was an emperor-level figure guarding it. Wang Jingyang was going to this mine to seek protection. Not long after, a large mine appeared in front of him. Wang Jingyang's eyes lit up. Lu Ming, sooner or later, I'll kill you. Wang Jingyang's eyes flickered with a vicious light. But at this moment, his expression changed because a terrifying fluctuation came from behind. A figure was chasing after him at an incredible speed. Lu Ming, why are you so fast? Run. Wang Jingyang was almost scared to death. Lu Ming's pursuit meant that Falcon was most likely dead. He was naturally afraid. He erupted with all his strength and flew towards the large mine with all his might. He was getting closer and closer to the mine, but Lu Ming's figure was also rapidly approaching. He was not far away from him. Save me, Patriarch, save me! Wang Jingyang roared crazily. Pushed by the saint power, his voice was much faster than his flying speed and spread far and wide. In the mine, many mining and smelting workers raised their heads and looked at Wang Jingyang. That's Wang Jingyang, the #1 prodigy of the Wan clan. He's running for his life. Who wants to kill him? Many people guessed and looked behind Wang Jingyang. Patriarch, save me, Lu Ming wants to kill me, Wang Jingyang roared again, shocking many people. Lu Ming, it was actually Lu Ming. Lu Ming wanted to kill Wang Jingyang and had even chased him here. Lu Ming's name had spread throughout the ancient Moon Holy Land. Many people had not seen Lu Ming before, but they had heard of him. You can't escape. Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he quickly approached Wang Jingyang. At this moment, Bubble opened his mouth and spat out a transparent bubble. Then, a transparent bubble suddenly appeared around Wang Jingyang's body, trapping him. Wang Jingyang's figure suddenly stopped. Oh no! Wang Jingyang's expression changed drastically as he frantically attacked, but he could not break through in a short time. Suppress! Lu Ming's glabella shone, and the Tai Chi array disc appeared. It quickly grew larger and suppressed Wang Jingyang. Continuously suppressed by the space-time law and the Tai Chi array disc, Wang Jingyang's body trembled and he almost could not move. Boom! At this moment, a shocking aura erupted from the Wan clan's mine. A ray of light shot into the sky, and a terrifying pressure filled the world, causing everyone's expression to change drastically. That was the Emperor's aura. A figure appeared in the light, and a rumbling voice came from all directions. Lu Ming, how dare you kill my Wan clan's prodigy? Emperor-level patriarch, haha, it's an emperor-level patriarch. Wang Jingyang was ecstatic. An emperor-level powerhouse had appeared. His life was saved. But in the next moment, his pupils contracted rapidly. This was because Lu Ming's figure did not stop at all. He appeared beside Wang Jingyang and threw a punch. A force that was like a violent storm surged toward Wang Jingyang. Under the double suppression of the bubble and the Tai Chi array disc, Wang Jingyang could hardly resist. The terrifying power blasted into Wang Jingyang's body, causing him to vomit large mouthfuls of blood. All the bones in his body shattered, and even the saint's heart in his dantian cracked. Wang Jingyang was severely injured, and his aura was weak. Lu Ming grabbed Wang Jingyang's neck and stood proudly in the void. A light flashed, and in the next moment, an old man appeared in front of Lu Ming. His aura was earth-shattering, and he was like an emperor who ruled the world. This was an emperor-level powerhouse of the Wan clan. "Patriarch, save me!" Wang Jingyang roared. "Lu Ming, let Jingyang go. Otherwise, I'll make you suffer." The Wan clan's emperor-level powerhouse said coldly. Lu Ming was simply audacious. He had already appeared just now, but Lu Ming still dared to attack Wang Jingyang and severely injure him. "Make me suffer? Haha." Lu Ming sneered and looked at the Wan clan's emperor-level powerhouse with disdain. "You dare to touch me?" Chapter 1820. A month ago, in the Great Development Pill Hall, an old man from the Great Development Pill Hall killed 2 true emperors in a row, shocking the entire ancient moon's sacred ground. That old man had once said that regardless of the outcome of a fight between peers, he would not interfere. However, if the older generation figures, especially the emperor-level powerhouses, were to lay their hands on Lu Ming, he would have to make a trip to the sect of that powerhouse. These words made all the forces feel a chill in their hearts. With that old man's combat strength, if he really went to any sect and started a massacre, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, the emperor-level experts of the Wan clan didn't dare to attack Lu Ming, unless Lu Ming was courting death and took the initiative to attack the emperor-level experts. Lu Ming's words made Wang Jingyang's heart turn extremely cold and he felt a chill down his spine. Was Lu Ming going to kill him in front of the emperor-level experts of the Wan clan? At the thought of this, he was incomparably terrified and cried out miserably, "Ancestor, save me, save me." "Lu Ming, it's easy to break too hard. Although your talent is peerless, the senior of the Great Development Pill Hall can't protect you forever. It's best to leave a way out." The emperor-level expert of the Wan clan said coldly. "Leave a way out? Huh, what a joke. Leave a way out to give you a chance to kill me?" Lu Ming laughed, full of disdain. Lu Ming, the Wan clan, Sky Wolf Pagoda, and other forces could no longer be reconciled. It was either you die or I die. Lu Ming left a way out, would the other party let him go? In that case, why leave a way out? I want Wang Jingyang's life. Let's see what you can do. Lu Ming opened his mouth, his incomparably cold killing intent was not concealed. No, Wang Jingyang's liver and gallbladder were torn apart as he struggled frantically. "Kill!" Lu Ming shouted. A terrifying force surged out like a storm and blasted into Wang Jingyang's body. Wang Jingyang let out an unwilling scream. Then, with a bang, his body exploded, his body and soul destroyed. In the mine, everyone looked at this scene in shock. Wang Jingyang was dead. Lu Ming actually dared to kill Wang Jingyang in front of the Wan clan's emperor-level experts. Said the great monarch of the Wan clan coldly. A terrifying chi exploded from his body. The sky shook and the earth rumbled. Lu Ming was forced back by this aura. However, his gaze was as resolute as ever. He stared at the emperor-ranked expert from the Wan clan with no fear at all. The martial emperors of the Wan clan were filled with boundless killing intent as they stared coldly at Lu Ming. They really wanted to slap Lu Ming to death. But in the end, he didn't dare to make a move. There were many people in this mine. They came from all sorts of major powers. If he killed Lu Ming, the news would definitely spread. At that time, the expert from the Great Pill Development Hall would be alerted. The Wan clan would face a terrifying calamity. As for himself, his life would most likely be in danger as well, and he would be killed by the Great Development Pill Hall's experts. Therefore, he endured it and slowly retracted his aura. However, his killing intent was getting stronger and stronger. Lu Ming, although the senior from the Great Development Pill Hall said that he would not interfere in a battle between peers, as your battle strength gets stronger and stronger and you continue to provoke the Wan clan, it is impossible for the Wan clan to not fight back. Even if the Emperor-level experts do not interfere, the Absolute Saint Realm experts can. I believe that senior will not say anything. Otherwise, if we fight to the death, you will not be able to live either, said the martial emperors of the Wan clan coldly. Indeed, Lu Ming's battle strength was too strong. No one in the younger generation of the Wan clan could compete with Lu Ming. As time passed, Lu Ming's battle strength would only get stronger. According to Elder Kong's words, wouldn't Lu Ming be able to continuously kill the Wan clan's people and the Wan clan would not be able to fight back? How could that be possible? Since Lu Ming's strength had surpassed the younger generation, they could also send the older generation to deal with Lu Ming. As long as they did not go too far, such as sending Emperor-level experts, the other party would not say anything. Alright, I will deal with all the absolute saints. I will not let Elder Kong trouble you, said Lu Ming. As long as the Emperor-level experts on the other side did not dare to attack, the absolute saints would only bring pressure and motivation to Lu Ming, allowing him to advance faster. With that, Lu Ming turned around and swaggered away in the air. The martial emperors of the Wan clan were filled with killing intent, but in the end, they did not dare to attack. They could only watch as Lu Ming left. Lu Ming's battle strength has already reached this level. It is shocking that he could kill Wan Jingyang. Not necessarily. Just now, Lu Ming relied on the little girl's help to make Wan Jingyang unable to fight back. The little girl should be a terrifying divine beast, but Lu Ming's battle strength is indeed shocking. Lu Ming is already at the top of the younger generation of the ancient moon's sacred ground. Other than a few monsters, I am afraid no one is his match. Many people in the mine were discussing. What had just happened would soon spread throughout the ancient moon's sacred ground. Lu Ming walked all the way to the Phoenix Palace. Not long after, Lu Ming arrived at the Phoenix Palace and released Huang Ling from the mountain and river diagram. Huang Ling's complexion was much better. After she came out, she immediately looked around. This is the Phoenix Palace. When Huang Ling realized that this was the Phoenix Palace, she let out a long sigh. Lu Ming, are you alright? Huang Ling looked at Lu Ming and asked with concern. I am fine. Lu Ming smiled. Wan Jingyang, Falcon, I will avenge them sooner or later. Huang Ling gritted her teeth and a cold light flashed in her eyes. I am afraid you will not be able to avenge them because they are already dead. Lu Ming smiled slightly. What? They are dead? You killed them? Huang Ling was dumbfounded. Yes, I should say that Bubble and I killed them together. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming, your cultivation has broken through? Huang Ling asked again. Wan Jingyang and Falcon's cultivation had reached the Great Sage realm and were extremely powerful. Lu Ming could kill them, which was beyond her expectations. My cultivation did not break through, but my spiritual body has evolved. Huang Ling, heal your injuries first. When you are better, call Long Chen and find me at the Great Pill Development Hall. I will show you something good. Lu Ming smiled faintly. No wonder. Huang Ling nodded. Lu Ming's combat strength was already extremely powerful. Now that his spiritual body had evolved, his combat strength was even more shocking. With Bubble, it was possible for him to kill Wan Jingyang and the others. What is it? She was curious about the good thing that Lu Ming mentioned. Find me at the Great Pill Development Hall. Lu Ming smiled. He turned around and stepped out, disappearing into the distance instantly. After returning to the Great Pill Development Hall, Lu Ming went into seclusion to comprehend the chaotic calamity finger and the sealing scroll. 7 days later, Huang Ling and Long Chen arrived at the scene. Lu Ming, what is the good thing that you said you wanted to show us? Huang Ling blinked and asked curiously. Lu Ming's glabella shone and the Great Pill Development Furnace flew out and stood on the ground. He said, "This is the Great Pill Development Furnace." Great Pill Development Furnace? The two of them were curious. They had seen it before. The alchemy fire in the Great Pill Development Furnace can refine and evolve the spiritual body. Chapter 1821. He absolutely believed in Huang Ling and Long Chen's character. He planned to let Long Chen and Huang Ling enter the Great Development Pill Furnace to temper their spiritual bodies. Huang Ling and Long Chen both cultivated spiritual bodies related to the top 10 war beasts. If the spiritual flowers evolved and reached the level of high-grade spiritual body, their combat strength would also skyrocket. It can actually temper the spiritual body directly and let the spiritual body evolve? After listening to Lu Ming's explanation, the two were dumbfounded. This effect was too heaven-defying. Who wants to go in and try? However, the tempering process is very painful. If you can't hold on, remind me. Lu Ming said. Spiritual body evolution is so heaven-defying. What's a little pain? I'll go first. Long Chen stepped out. Lu Ming opened the lid and let Long Chen enter. Then, he put a large number of sacred herbs into the furnace and closed it. Whoosh! Lu Ming controlled the pill furnace. Inside the pill furnace, the pill fire burned fiercely, enveloping Long Chen and began to temper Long Chen's physical body. Long Chen was also a person with an extremely strong will. How could the intense pain make him give up? He gritted his teeth and endured it. 7 days later, Long Chen reached his limit and came out of the pill furnace. The effect is indeed amazing. Long Chen sighed. It's my turn. Huang Ling couldn't wait any longer and stepped into the pill furnace. In the following days, Huang Ling and Long Chen took turns to enter the Great Development Pill Furnace to temper their spiritual bodies. Lu Ming divided some of his attention to pay attention to the pill furnace. Most of his energy was still on his own cultivation. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. Long Chen and Huang Ling's spiritual bodies had finally been tempered to the extreme. They had both evolved and stepped into the ranks of high-grade spiritual bodies. Their combat strength had greatly increased. With their potential, they would be able to evolve sooner or later and step into high-grade spiritual bodies by relying on their own cultivation. However, it was unknown how long it would take. Lu Ming, Phoenix Palace sent me a message before. The date of Celestial City's Origin Mountain Academy has been set. It will be half a year later. Huang Ling said. Half a year later? Lu Ming whispered. He definitely had to make a trip to Celestial City. The Sacred Academy of Origin Mountain was established by a few heavenly emperors. With the heavenly emperors giving lectures, such a good opportunity must not be missed. Moreover, at that time, Yuan Mountain Holy Courtyard would gather the top heavens prides in the entire Yuan Mountain. Lu Ming also wanted to go and experience it. Only by colliding with powerful heavens prides could he improve faster. Now, all the heavens prides are cultivating hard, and their progress is very fast. If we can improve our cultivation during this period of time, with our strength, it won't be too difficult to occupy a place in Yuan Mountain Holy Courtyard. Huang Ling said again. They chatted for a while longer before Huang Ling and Long Chen bid farewell and returned to their respective sects to cultivate. As soon as Huang Ling returned to Phoenix Palace, someone came to find her. Huang Ling, Palace Master is looking for you. Someone came to report. Palace Master? All right, I'll go now. Huang Ling nodded and headed toward the Palace Master Hall. In the main hall, the Palace Master of Phoenix Palace stood with her hands behind her back as if she was thinking about something. Huang Ling greets the Palace Lord. I wonder why the Palace Lord has summoned Huang Ling? Huang Ling came behind the palace master of Phoenix Palace and bowed respectfully. The palace master of Phoenix Palace turned around and glanced at Huang Ling. Her eyes suddenly lit up and revealed a look of surprise. She said, "Huang Ling, your spiritual body has evolved?" "Yes, palace master. I just evolved recently," Huang Ling said. She did not say that she evolved because of the Great Pill Furnace. The Great Pill Furnace's effect was too heaven-defying. Lu Ming told them because he trusted them. Naturally, they would not spread the news, not even to their closest friends or the palace master of Phoenix Palace. "All right, I have something here. I was considering whether to let you go or not. Now that your spiritual body has evolved and your combat strength has increased greatly, you can go and experience it," the palace master of Phoenix Palace said. "Palace master, what is it?" Huang Ling asked curiously. "It's about the Divine Origin Empire," the palace master of Phoenix Palace said. "Ancient Sun Sacred Ground, Divine Origin Empire?" Huang Ling's expression changed. The Ancient Sun Sacred Ground was one of the 9 sacred grounds of Yuan Mountain and was close to the Ancient Moon Sacred Ground. The Divine Origin Empire was a huge force in the Ancient Sun Sacred Ground. It was an ancient empire that was much stronger than Phoenix Palace. Yes. Some time ago, the old emperor of the Divine Origin Empire failed to pass the Great Tribulation and turned into ashes in the tribulation, the palace master of Phoenix Palace said with a complicated expression. The old emperor of the Divine Origin Empire failed to pass the tribulation. Huang Ling's expression changed. The old emperor of the Divine Origin Empire was definitely an unimaginable existence. He was extremely terrifying. Even if he was not a great emperor, he was probably a peak existence among true emperors. Such an expert was almost at the peak, but he still could not withstand the Great Tribulation and died. With the death of the old emperor of the Xinyuan Empire, the Xinyuan Empire was left without a ruler. The various factions fought for the throne, and internal strife broke out. This battle caused the Xinyuan Empire to suffer heavy losses. In the end, the ancient emperors of the Xinyuan Empire, who had been in seclusion all this time, came out. With their terrifying battle strength, they managed to quell the internal strife. However, the empire cannot be without a ruler. The ancient emperors chose 3 of the most talented young princes of the Divine Origin Empire and planned to test them. The prince who emerged victorious in the end would become the crown prince of the Divine Origin Empire. As long as he could become an emperor in the future, he would be able to take over the Divine Origin Empire and become the new emperor. The branch of one of the princes has always been on good terms with our Phoenix Palace. A few days ago, this prince came to Phoenix Palace and wanted to invite some geniuses to help him compete for the position of crown prince. The palace master of Phoenix Palace explained. Huang Ling was enlightened. So that was the case. The matter that the palace master of Phoenix Palace was talking about was to help this prince of the Divine Origin Empire. The Divine Origin Empire is very powerful and far surpasses many of the factions in the Ancient Moon Sacred Ground. If we can help this prince obtain the position of crown prince and even inherit the entire Divine Origin Empire in the future, our Phoenix Palace will gain a powerful ally. The palace master of Phoenix Palace explained. Don't worry, palace master. I will do my best to help that prince, Huang Ling said. But just do your best. If there's any danger, don't force yourself. This time, the other princes of the Divine Origin Empire will probably invite some powerful geniuses to help. Just do what you can. Now, I'll have someone bring you to meet that prince. The palace master of Phoenix Palace warned and then asked someone to bring Huang Ling to meet that prince. In a courtyard, Huang Ling met the prince. "Oh Yang Wushuang, it's you?" Huang Ling was surprised to see that prince. Huang Ling? The prince of the Divine Origin Empire, Yang Wushuang, was also surprised to see Huang Ling here. If Lu Ming were here, he would also be surprised. That was because this prince of the Divine Origin Empire, Yang Wushuang, was one of the 6 silver inheritors in the primordial chaos sex assessment. Chapter 1822. Since the two of them were old acquaintances, they naturally became familiar with each other very quickly. Huang Ling also had a clearer understanding of the matters of the Xinyuan Empire. This time, another prince has also come to the ancient Moon's sacred land. His faction is familiar with the Wan clan and the Golden Crow tribe. I'm afraid he will invite the experts of these factions to help him. Finally, Ouyang Wushuang said. Are you mainly inviting the young geniuses this time? Huang Ling asked. That's right. The ancient emperors have set a rule that allows the princes to invite geniuses to help them pass the test. After all, connections are also a form of strength. This is especially so when one is in charge of an ancient empire. Ouyang Wushuang explained. Other than Phoenix Palace, who else did you invite? Huang Ling asked. Ouyang Wushuang smiled bitterly and said, my faction only has good relations with Phoenix Palace and Sky Bird Palace in the ancient Moon Holy Land. However, I went to Sky Bird Palace before and was rejected. Oh, I have a few people that I can recommend to you. Let's see if you can persuade them. Huang Ling said. Who? Ouyang Wushuang asked. Young sect master, there's also Long Chen. Huang Ling smiled. What? The young master sect is also in the ancient Moon Holy Land? Ouyang Wushuang's eyes widened in surprise. Of course, when we entered the Hunyuan sect, it was me, the young sect master, and Long Chen who entered together. Of course he's in the ancient Moon Holy Land. Huang Ling said. Since that's the case, I'll definitely pay my respects. Ouyang Wushuang said. Then I'll send a message to Long Chen first. Then, she sent a message to Long Chen. Long Chen had just returned to the Divine Elephant sect when he received news from Huang Ling. He rushed to the Phoenix Palace and was surprised to see Ouyang Wushuang. After Ouyang Wushuang explained the reason for his visit, Long Chen agreed without hesitation. Immediately, the three of them headed towards the Great Pill Evolution Hall. I didn't expect that young sect master is actually the new hall master of the Great Pill Evolution Hall. Standing outside the Great Pill Development Hall, Ouyang Wushuang sighed. In the ancient era, the Great Pill Evolution Palace's name shook the world. Ouyang Wushuang had naturally heard of it. Not long after, Lu Ming came out. Ouyang Wushuang. When Lu Ming saw Ouyang Wushuang, he was also surprised. Ouyang Wushuang immediately explained the purpose of his visit. Ancient Sun Holy Land? Okay, I agree. When do we leave? Lu Ming pondered for a moment before agreeing. In fact, even without Ouyang Wushuang, Lu Ming had already planned to visit the Ancient Sun Holy Land. Because the only temple was in the Ancient Sun Holy Land. Autumn Moon was taken away by the experts from the One Sanctum. It was very likely that she had become a disciple of the One Sanctum. In addition, Lu Ming had another idea. Ouyang Wushuang, as the silver successor of the Hunyuan sect, had to obey Yi Futian for at least 20 years. If Yi Futian helped Ouyang Wushuang control the Xinyuan Empire, then this powerful force would definitely be on Lu Ming's side. It could even be used by Lu Ming. To Lu Ming, this was absolutely beneficial and had no disadvantages. He had already decided that he must help Ouyang Wushuang obtain victory and become the crown prince of the Xinyuan Empire. With young sect master's help, this trip is not in vain. We can set off at any time. Ouyang Wushuang was overjoyed. Since Lu Ming could become the gold successor of the Hunyuan sect, his potential was definitely amazing. Even if his cultivation was still weak, his combat strength was definitely not weak. He could be a great help. In addition, Huang Ling and Long Chen were also silver successors like him. Their combat strength was definitely not weak. Ouyang, in the future, in front of outsiders, don't call me young sect master. Just call me Lu Ming. Lu Ming said. Okay. Ouyang Wushuang nodded. Later, the group arrived at the Phoenix Palace. When Huang Ling reported to the Phoenix Palace master that Lu Ming and Long Chen were also going to the Xinyuan Empire, the Phoenix Palace master was overjoyed. 2 months ago, the news of Lu Ming killing Wan Jingyang had already spread like wildfire. His combat power was extremely strong. With Lu Ming's participation, Ouyang Wushuang's chances of winning would increase greatly. Even the Phoenix Palace master, who had originally planned to send other sky prides, cancelled it. The number of people was not important, but quality. Phoenix Palace's strongest sky pride had been in seclusion at a critical moment and could not come out. As for the other sky prides, they were not as good as Huang Ling and would be useless even if they went. One day later, Lu Ming, Huang Ling, Long Chen, and of course, Bubbles followed Ouyang Wushuang and stepped into the Phoenix Palace's teleportation array. They left the ancient moon's sacred ground and headed to the ancient sun's sacred ground. Of course, Phoenix Palace could not teleport directly into the ancient sun's sacred ground. They were teleported to a city outside the ancient sun's sacred ground and then flew to the Xinyuan Empire. Along the way, Ouyang Wushuang roughly explained the situation in the ancient sun's sacred ground to everyone. The ancient sun's sacred ground was as famous as the ancient moon's sacred ground, but its structure was worlds apart from the ancient moon's sacred ground. In the ancient moon's sacred ground, many forces were in confrontation, competing for dominance. There were at least 20 powerful forces in total. However, the ancient sun's sacred ground was different. There were only 4 forces in the ancient sun's sacred ground. In the vast ancient sun's sacred ground, there were only 4 forces, each occupying a vast territory and had been passed down for countless years. These 4 forces were the Xinyuan Empire, the one and only Sanctuary, the Purple Flame Villa, and the Daluo Heaven Sect. One had to know that the overall strength of the ancient Sun Holy Land was no weaker than that of the ancient Moon Holy Land. In fact, it could even be said that they were stronger than the ancient Moon Holy Land. One could only imagine how strong these 4 forces were. Each of them was far stronger than the Phoenix Palace and the Wan family. Among them, the Daluo Heaven Sect was the strongest, suppressing the other 3 forces. This time, there were a total of 3 princes who were qualified to compete for the position of Crown Prince in the Xinyuan Empire. The other 3 forces in the ancient Sun sacred ground each supported a prince. The strongest Daluo Heaven Sect supported the first prince, Ouyang Wudao. The one and only Sanctuary supported the first prince, Ouyang Wuji. The Purple Flame Villa supported Ouyang Wushuang. Obviously, if one of the princes became the crown prince, the forces that supported him would gain the friendship of the Xinyuan Empire. It would have a great impact on the structure of the ancient Sun sacred ground. In particular, the Daluo Heaven Sect was extremely strong. If they supported the first prince, Ouyang Wudao, in the future, the Daluo Heaven Sect and the Xinyuan Empire would join forces, and the other 2 forces would be in a very difficult situation. In order to fight against Ouyang Wudao, who was supported by the Daluo Heaven Sect, Ouyang Wushuang and Ouyang Wuji went to the ancient moon's sacred ground to seek help from the geniuses. As they flew, the vast land passed under their feet. Later, they saw a huge city, vast and endless. That was the imperial capital of the Xinyuan Empire, known as the imperial capital of the Xinyuan Empire. Walking into the imperial capital of the Xinyuan Empire, they could clearly see that some of the buildings were destroyed. The Xinyuan Empire had just experienced a fierce civil war. It was said that even the emperor-level experts had died in the war. The imperial capital of the Xinyuan Empire was also severely damaged and had not been repaired yet. Chapter 1823. As one of the top princes of the Divine Origin Empire, Ouyang Wushuang naturally had his own palace. They walked into a palace and Ouyang Wushuang asked someone to arrange accommodations for Lu Ming and the rest. Lu Ming, Huang Ling, Long Chen, take a rest first. In 2 days, I will hold a banquet and introduce you to the sky prides of the Purple Flame Villa. Ouyang Wushuang said. All right, if you have something to do, go ahead. Lu Ming nodded. After Ouyang Wushuang arranged accommodations for them, he took his leave. Lu Ming, Huang Ling, and Long Chen wandered around the hall. This was the first time the three of them had come to the ancient sun's sacred land, and they were rather curious. The Soul Holy Temple supports the other prince? I wonder if we will meet the mid-autumn moon. Lu Ming thought. The three of them wandered around for a while and chatted for a while before returning to their rooms to cultivate. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. 2 days later, Ouyang Wushuang held a banquet and sent someone to invite the three of them to the banquet. When the three of them arrived at a large palace, there were already some people seated inside. Ouyang Wushuang sat at the head of the table. On the left side of the palace, there were 8 young men and women. The 8 of them were dressed in the same purple robes with a purple flame embroidered on them. Lu Ming and the rest were shocked. They knew that these were the sky prides of the Purple Flame Villa. Lu Ming, Huang Ling, Long Chen, please take a seat. Ouyang Wushuang stood up to welcome them. Lu Ming and the rest sat down. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone is here. Let me introduce them to you. These are the geniuses from the Purple Flame Villa. This is Xiao Mucheng, and this is... Ouyang Wushuang first introduced the sky prides of the Purple Flame Villa to Lu Ming and the rest. Nice to meet you. Lu Ming and the rest stood up and raised their cups. However, the 8 sky prides of the Purple Flame Villa only chuckled and did not return the toast. Their faces were filled with arrogance. This attitude was somewhat disrespectful to Lu Ming and the rest. This made Ouyang Wushuang's face turn slightly gloomy. Prince Wushuang, I heard that you went to the ancient moon's sacred ground to ask for help. Are these the sky prides that you invited from the ancient moon's sacred ground? A young man with a purple flame between his eyebrows spoke. His name was Xiao Mucheng. Was an extremely powerful sky prides of the Great Sage Realm. His cultivation was Great Sage Realm. That's right. These are the sky prides of the ancient sun, Ouyang Wushuang introduced. Prides? Why haven't I seen them before? Of the purples of the Purple Flame Villas, and he interrupted him. These ancient heavens of the heavens is palaces of the of them? Xiao Mucheng said when the news of a great emperor wanting to establish the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy spread out in the celestial city, countless sky prides gathered in the city and clashed with each other. Many sky prides had met each other before. The sky prides of the Purple Flame Villa had also been to the celestial city and met many sky prides of the ancient moon's sacred ground. However, they did not know Lu Ming and the rest. How strong could they be if they did not even dare to go to the celestial city? Prides? They obviously did not believe it. Our cultivation was still weak at that time, so we did not go to the celestial city. Long Chen said in a deep voice. Your cultivation is still weak. At least you have some self-awareness. Your cultivation was weak before. Are you saying that you're strong now? I heard that Ouyang Wuji had invited the number 1 sky pride of the Sky Wolf Pagoda and the second prince of the Golden Crow clan to the ancient moon's sacred ground. Their cultivation is also very strong. A few sky prides of the Purple Flame Villa mocked. This made Lu Ming, Huang Ling and Long Chen's face turn cold. Ouyang Wushuang's face was also ugly. He waved his hand and said, all right, since everyone is here to help me, then we should work together and not have internal strife. Prince Wushuang, we're doing this for your own good. I hope these people can be of some use when the time comes. Xiao Mucheng sneered with a faint disdain. After that, the atmosphere was a little awkward. Everyone casually drank a few cups and left unhappily. Lu Ming, I'm sorry. After the people of the Purple Flame Villa left, Ouyang Wushuang felt a little apologetic. It's normal for people from big forces to be arrogant. I just don't know if they have the corresponding strength. Lu Ming smiled faintly. The sky prides of the Purple Flame Villa are still very strong. Maybe they haven't seen you guys before, so they can't help but be a little arrogant, Ouyang Wushuang explained. I hope so. Lu Ming smiled and then said goodbye to Ouyang Wushuang and returned to his residence with Huang Ling and Long Chen. Sigh. Ouyang Wushuang sighed and felt a headache coming on. However, he was still biased towards the Purple Flame Villa. Lu Ming, Huang Ling and Long Chen naturally had great potential, but their cultivation was still weak after all. This test mainly relied on the sky prides of the Purple Flame Villa, Lu Ming and the rest to assist them. Lu Ming and the other two returned to their residence and agreed to go to Xinyuan Empire City the next day. Early the next morning, the three of them walked out. The three of them had Ouyang Wushuang's token, so naturally, they were unimpeded. Xinyuan Empire City had been passed down for countless years and was vast and endless. Various ancient buildings soared into the sky and looked very spectacular from afar. Although there had just been internal strife, Xinyuan Empire City had basically returned to normal. On both sides of the street, there were forests of shops and a constant stream of martial arts experts. The three of them had no purpose in mind. They wandered around and bought some things that they needed. Lu Ming, what's wrong with you? As they walked, Huang Ling and Long Chen noticed that something was wrong with Lu Ming. Lu Ming suddenly stopped and looked ahead without blinking. They followed Lu Ming's gaze and saw a woman in front of them. She was otherworldly and peerless. This woman had a slender and graceful figure. She wore a long dress and had an otherworldly temperament. She was like a goddess from the legends, a fairy from the heavens. Even in the vast crowd, she could attract everyone's attention and become the center of attention. This woman's appearance was not inferior to Huang Ling at all. Big brother Lu Ming is a pervert. He can't walk away when he sees a beauty. Bubbles sat on Lu Ming's shoulder and muttered. Huang Ling and Long Chen were a little surprised. Although that woman was like a goddess, based on their understanding of Lu Ming should not be such a person. At this time, Lu Ming seemed to have not heard Bubbles and Huang Ling's words at all. At this time, there was only one person in his eyes, that Snow-White woman. Mid-Autumn Moon. Lu Ming did not expect that after so many years, he would see Mid-Autumn Moon again on the streets of Moshang. It had been more than 10 years since Mid-Autumn Moon had been taken away by the Soul Sanctum's expert. After more than 10 years, Mid-Autumn Moon was still as beautiful as before. However, she had matured and her temperament had become more otherworldly. For more than 10 years, Lu Ming did not know where to look for Mid-Autumn Moon in the vast Yuan continent. For so many years, Lu Ming's parents had been thinking about Mid-Autumn Moon. Mid-Autumn Moon could be said to have grown up together with Lu Ming. Li Ping and her husband had almost treated Mid-Autumn Moon as half a daughter. This time, Lu Ming's main purpose in coming to the ancient Sun Holy Land was to find Mid-Autumn Moon. Chapter 1824. Lu Ming took a deep breath and calmed himself down. He smiled and said to Huang Ling and the rest, I've met an old friend. I haven't seen her for many years. I'll introduce her to you later. After that, Lu Ming stepped out and walked towards Autumn Moon. He walked like the wind. After a few steps, Lu Ming came to Autumn Moon and shouted, Autumn Moon. Even though Lu Ming's heart was firm, he was still a little shaken. He wondered how Autumn Moon would react when she suddenly saw him. Hearing the call, Autumn Moon turned around and looked at Lu Ming. However, the look in her eyes stunned Lu Ming. That was a kind of silence. There was also a vague look of disgust in his eyes, as if Lu Ming was a stranger. Autumn Moon, long time no see. Lu Ming revealed a smile on his face. Get lost. A cold voice came from Autumn Moon's mouth. The disgust in her eyes became stronger. What's going on? Lu Ming was stunned. Autumn Moon would never speak to him like that. Could it be that the person in front of him was not Autumn Moon? Impossible. Lu Ming grew up with Autumn Moon. They had been together for more than 10 years. He would never mistake her. Even if Autumn Moon's temperament had changed, she was definitely Autumn Moon. Also, no matter how high a person's cultivation had become, their aura would not change. Lu Ming would never mistake Autumn Moon's aura. The beauty in front of him was Autumn Moon. Autumn Moon, I'm young master. I'm Lu Ming. Lu Ming took a step forward and reached for Autumn Moon's hand. "Lecher, you're courting death." Chiao Yu shouted. A ray of saber gleam burst forth from Chiao Yu's hand. It was extremely terrifying and bone-chilling. Lu Ming's countenance changed. He retreated and dodged the saber gleam. "How dare you flirt with my junior sister Autumn Moon in broad daylight? I'll kill you." A fiery red figure charged towards Lu Ming. It was a young man with a cold look in his eyes. He sent a palm strike towards Lu Ming. The blazing flame palm caused the void to tremble. At this moment, Lu Ming's mind was in a state of shock. Unexpectedly, he didn't dodge, and the palm heavily slammed into his body. Lu Ming's body shook and he floated backwards. The young man's eyes turned cold. He felt that when his palm landed on Lu Ming's body, it was as if he had hit an immortal diamond. He couldn't move him at all. With his great sage, great mastery cultivation base, how could it be possible? It must be an illusion. Kill. The young man took a step forward and rushed towards Lu Ming. He wanted to kill Lu Ming. Get lost. Long Chen took a step forward and blasted out a punch. The terrifying power whistled in the air, causing the young man's expression to change drastically. He felt that he couldn't withstand this punch. At the critical moment, he stopped his body abruptly and retreated to avoid Long Chen's punch. "You're lucky today." The young man snorted coldly. He glanced coldly at Lu Ming, then turned around and left. At this time, Autumn Moon had already left and disappeared into the crowd. From the beginning to the end, she didn't look at Lu Ming. "What's going on? Autumn Moon doesn't seem to recognize me at all." Lu Ming frowned and couldn't figure it out. Over the years, although his temperament had changed a lot, after all, he had been with Autumn Moon for so many years. It was impossible for Autumn Moon to not recognize him. Moreover, he had mentioned his name, but Autumn Moon still pulled out her sword. With Lu Ming's understanding of Autumn Moon, it was impossible. Autumn Moon's eyes were very silent, as if she really didn't know Lu Ming. What happened over the years? Another person who doesn't know what's good for him wants to get close to Autumn Moon Fairy. He's really looking for trouble. Isn't that so? He's really a toad who wants to eat swan meat. Autumn Moon Fairy is one of the two beauties of our ancient Sun Holy Land. Many peerless geniuses wanted to pursue her but were rejected. This kid is really delusional. He's lucky that he didn't get killed. Around the street, those who witnessed this scene sneered and looked at Lu Ming with disdain. "Lu Ming, what's wrong with you?" Huang Ling walked over and asked curiously. Based on her understanding of Lu Ming wasn't that kind of person. He wasn't the kind of person who couldn't move his hands and feet when he saw a beauty. However, Lu Ming's abnormal behavior just now made them very curious. "An old friend. I haven't seen her for more than 10 years, but she doesn't seem to know me at all." Lu Ming said and didn't hide anything. He told them about his relationship with Autumn Moon Fairy. "That's strange. We cultivators will never forget a person if we remember them. Even if we haven't seen them for 10,000 years, we can still recognize them." Long Chen said with a frown. Cultivators had good memories. Moreover, a person's origin aura wouldn't change. No matter how long it had been, they could still recognize it. "She doesn't know you at all." "There are only two possibilities," Huang Ling spoke, but she stopped halfway. She wanted to say something, but hesitated. It seemed like she couldn't bear to do that. "Let's go back." After Lu Ming said that, he turned around and walked toward Ouyang Wushuang's residence. He knew what Huang Ling wanted to say. There were only two possibilities if she didn't know him. The first possibility was that she had lost her memory. The second possibility was that she had been possessed by an expert. No matter which one it was, something must have happened to Autumn Moon Fairy. He must find out. Lu Ming walked very slowly. As he walked, he was thinking. Long Chen and Huang Ling followed behind Lu Ming and didn't disturb him. After walking for a long time, they returned to Ouyang Wushuang's residence. Hee, this lecher is back. He still has the face to come back. As soon as they walked through the door, they met a few young men from Purple Flame Villa. One of them sneered. Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? How dare you have designs on Autumn Moon Fairy? You're really overestimating yourself. And his cultivation is so low that it's pitiful. He was actually sent flying by a supreme sage in the great mastery from the only sanctum. I really don't know why Prince Wushuang invited such a person. He'll just be a burden to us. The other young men from Purple Flame Villa sneered. Obviously, the young men from Purple Flame Villa were also present at the scene on the street. Otherwise, they wouldn't know so clearly. Shut up. Lu Ming shouted coldly, his gaze sweeping across the few of them at lightning speed. Kid, who are you telling to shut up? One of the young men from Purple Flame Villa said coldly. I heard a few wild dogs barking as soon as I came back. Get out of here now. Lu Ming was already in a bad mood. As soon as he came back, he heard these people mocking and ridiculing him. Naturally, he wouldn't be happy. Kid, you're just a piece of trash. If it weren't for Prince Wushuang, would have thrown you out long ago. How dare you be so arrogant? It seems that if I don't teach you a lesson, you won't know your place. A burly young man from Purple Flame Villa shouted coldly. He stepped out and closed in on Lu Ming. This person's cultivation was at the peak of the Supreme Sage realm. He was a powerful young man and his spiritual body was a middle-level heaven spiritual body. Get out of here. Chapter 1825. Lu Ming's palm seemed to have turned into a prison-suppressing steel, suppressing the heavens. With a strike of his palm, the heavens and earth buzzed and the void trembled. The terrifying pressure made the burly young man from the Purple Flame Villa change his expression. He roared and purple flames bloomed on his body, forming a purple beast that pounced on Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's palm was unstoppable. With a slash, the purple beast exploded, but the palm did not stop. The burly young man's expression changed again, and he blocked with both hands. Bam! Lu Ming's palm landed on the burly young man's arm. The burly young man screamed and flew out, falling heavily on the ground. His arms were completely twisted, and he spurted out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale. He looked at Lu Ming in disbelief. Previously on the street, Lu Ming could not even block a single palm from a great sage in the Great Completion realm. How could he be so powerful now, injuring the burly young man with a single palm? In fact, Lu Ming had shown mercy. Otherwise, the burly young man would have died. How dare you injure the people of the Purple Flame Villa? Let me have a taste of your combat strength. Another young man from the Purple Flame Villa shouted. With a swoosh, he pounced on Lu Ming. His cultivation of Great Sage Complete Realm was fully released. This young man was not weaker than the number 1 genius of the Wan clan, Wan Jingyang. In fact, he was slightly stronger. Purple Meteorite Critical Strike. The burly young man roared. His entire body seemed to have turned into flames. He punched out continuously, and balls of purple flames blasted towards Lu Ming like meteorites. This was a terrifying divine skill that was shockingly powerful. Lu Ming was not afraid at all. The law of primal chaos circulated, and he activated the suppressing hell divine skill. His palm was like a knife, and he slashed out 100 times in an instant. Bam! Bam! In the sky, the meteorite-like attack exploded like fireworks after being hit by Lu Ming's palm. Lu Ming rushed through the flames, and the flames did not touch his body. He quickly approached the Purple Flame Villa's genius and launched a terrifying attack towards the burly young man. Purple Meteorite Critical Strike, close! The Purple Flame Villa's genius shouted. Flames blazed around him as he slowly pushed his hands out. A huge fireball that was like a purple sun pressed down on Lu Ming. Break! Lu Ming shouted as dragon roars came from his body. Then, he pointed out with his finger, and the chaotic calamity finger exploded. A huge finger condensed and pointed at the other party. Boom! There was a terrifying roar, and the sky shook continuously. The buildings below were protected by strong cultivators, otherwise, they would have exploded. In the end, the primal chaos finger of calamity crushed over. It was as if a supreme deity destroyed the sun with a single finger. The scene was shocking to the extreme. Bang! The body of the Purple Flame Villa's genius trembled violently as he was sent flying back. He only managed to stabilize himself after flying 10,000 meters away. Then, he vomited a mouthful of blood. How is this possible? He muttered to himself. He was actually defeated. With the cultivation of great sage perfection, he was actually defeated in the hands of a great sage minor mastery. How was this possible? The law of primal chaos. He's one of the Elysian children, the son of chaos. Someone exclaimed. The others looked at Lu Ming in horror. No wonder the son of chaos was so terrifying. Get lost. Lu Ming stood in the air and shouted indifferently. The Purple Flame Villa's people flushed red and left dejectedly. Ever since Lu Ming and the rest arrived, they had been looking at them with contempt. Almost all the top geniuses of the ancient Moon Holy Land had been to Celestial City. They had seen them before. However, Lu Ming and the others had not been to Celestial City. Their first impression was that Lu Ming and the others were very weak. They looked down on them from the bottom of their hearts. Previously, two of the Purple Flame Villa's geniuses happened to see Lu Ming being sent flying by a great sage greater mastery on the street. This made them look down on him even more. This time, the Purple Flame Villa's people who helped Ouyang Wushuang were all great sage peak geniuses. There were even great sage perfection geniuses. They believed that the people invited by the other princes were the same. With Lu Ming's cultivation, it was almost useless. Therefore, when Lu Ming and the others returned, they ridiculed them. However, they did not expect Lu Ming to suddenly erupt. Moreover, his combat strength was simply abnormal. They were also geniuses, but Lu Ming forcibly jumped 3 levels and defeated them. How could they have the face to stay here? You overestimate yourselves. Long Chen smiled faintly. Then, they returned to their respective residences and went into seclusion to cultivate. However, early the next morning, Ouyang Wushuang sent someone to invite them to a gathering. It was still the same hall as before. Everyone took their seats. The difference was that the Purple Flame Villa's geniuses looked at Lu Ming with a different gaze. They became a little solemn. Ouyang Wushuang revealed a trace of a smile. He naturally received the news of the battle between Lu Ming and the Purple Flame Villa's geniuses yesterday. Lu Ming's combat strength was beyond his imagination. He could actually suppress a great sage perfection genius. However, the stronger Lu Ming was, the more advantageous it would be for him. Prince Wushuang, why did you summon us so early in the morning? A Purple Flame Villa's genius asked. Ouyang Wuji sent me an invitation. He said that he would hold a banquet for me and everyone present. Ouyang Wushuang explained the reason. Ouyang Wuji invited us to a banquet. I'm afraid it's not that simple. Someone frowned. Ouyang Wuji was one of the 3 competing princes. He had the support of the Soul's Sanctum and had also invited many geniuses from the ancient Moon Holy Ground. It was definitely not simple to invite them to a banquet at this time. No matter what, he invited us openly. I don't think he would dare to play dirty. Huang Ling said. The test for the 3 princes had not yet begun. Ouyang Wuji would definitely not dare to play dirty and harm them. Otherwise, he would be disqualified. That's right. Therefore, we can't show any weakness. Let's go and see what Ouyang Wuji is up to. Ouyang Wushuang said. No one had any objections. It would be beneficial for them to meet Ouyang Wuji and his helpers first. Know yourself and your enemy and you will never be defeated. The group chatted for a while more. Seeing that it was about time, Ouyang Wushuang led the group and the rest followed him to a vast palace. That palace was Ouyang Wuji's residence. Someone led them to a spacious courtyard. "Ha, ninth brother, you're here. Heroes, please take a seat." A young man wearing a purple gold robe and a purple gold crown laughed and welcomed them. "Sixth brother, you're welcome." Ouyang Wushuang smiled. Among the princes, Ouyang Wushuang was ranked 9th, Ouyang Wuji was ranked 6th, and Ouyang Wudao was ranked 1st. He was known as the first prince. Ouyang Wuji and Ouyang Wushuang sat at the top. Below Ouyang Wuji sat a dozen young men, each with an extraordinary aura. Lu Ming and the rest sat below Ouyang Wuji and sized each other up. Autumn Moon. Lu Ming saw Autumn Moon at a glance and his gaze fell on her. Autumn Moon seemed to have sensed Lu Ming's gaze. She frowned and glanced at Lu Ming coldly. "You really don't seem to recognize me." Lu Ming frowned. Golden Crow's second prince, Mo Lang from Sky Wolf Pagoda. Chapter 1826. There were 5 or 6 geniuses from the ancient Moon Holy Ground. They were the top geniuses of the ancient Moon Holy Ground. For example, Mo Lang was the number 1 genius of the Sky Wolf Tower. The second prince of the Golden Crow clan was the number 2 genius of the Golden Crow clan. It's Lu Ming. Mo Lang, the second prince of the Golden Crow clan, and the others saw Lu Ming. Their faces suddenly turned pale. Lu Ming's name was too famous in the ancient Moon Holy Land. Not long ago, he had killed Falcon and Wan Jingyang, who were not weaker than them. Naturally, their expressions were ugly and they were full of fear. It's good that Lu Ming came to the ancient Sun Holy Ground. We can let the geniuses of the One Sanctum deal with him. Each of the geniuses of the One Sanctum has amazing battle strength. It's hard to find a match for them at the same level. They can kill Lu Ming. That's right. Mo Lang, the second prince of the Golden Crow clan, and the others secretly communicated with each other. All kinds of thoughts were running through their minds. "Ha, ninth brother, heroes, I'm very grateful to you for coming to this banquet today. Here's a toast to you." Ouyang Wuji raised his cup and said something polite. Everyone also raised their cups and drank a cup. "Ninth brother, the assessment will begin in a few days. Are you ready?" Ouyang Wuji put down his cup and suddenly asked. "Of course. When the time comes, please show mercy, sixth brother." Ouyang Wushuang smiled. His words were flawless. "Ninth brother, are you confident about this assessment?" Ouyang Wuji suddenly changed the topic. "Eldest brother has the support of the Daluo Heaven sect. He's very powerful. How can I be confident?" Ouyang Wushuang sighed. "Yes, eldest brother has the support of the Daluo Heaven sect. There are many geniuses and experts in the sect. I'm afraid that you and I can't compete with them. Therefore, I invited you here to discuss something with you." Ouyang Wuji said. "Sixth brother, just say it." Ouyang Wushuang said. "All right, I'll be frank. If you and I are separated, we won't be big brother's match. How about this? Let's join forces. Ninth brother will help me obtain the position of crown prince. In the future, I won't forget ninth brother. In the future, when I inherit the throne, ninth brother will be above everyone in the Xinyuan Empire, second only to me." Ouyang Wuji stated his purpose. His words caused the expressions of the Purple Flame Villa's geniuses to change. However, Ouyang Wushuang's expression did not change. He played with the jade cup in his hand as if he was thinking. After a while, he slowly said, "Sixth brother's idea is not bad. You agreed?" Ouyang Wuji was overjoyed. "I didn't say that I agreed. I just said that it's a good idea. How about this, sixth brother, help me obtain the position of crown prince, and I can guarantee that in the future, you will be second only to one person and above all others. How about it?" Ouyang Wushuang said with a smile. Ninth brother, are you messing with me? Ouyang Wuji's face darkened. How did I trick you? Why? Only I can help you, but you can't help me? Ouyang Wuji said lightly. Ninth brother, you have to know your own limits and understand your own strength. In this assessment, you and your helpers will only be reduced to supporting characters. You won't have any chance. Ouyang Wuji's voice turned cold. Those words caused the expressions of the people from the Purple Flame Villa to turn ugly. Ouyang Wuji's words implied that the Purple Flame Villa was weak and could not compare to the Soul's Sacred Hall. In fact, that was the truth. The Purple Flame Villa was indeed the weakest of the four major forces of the ancient Sun Sacred Ground. Although the Soul's Sacred Hall had the least number of disciples, they were not called the Soul's Sacred Hall for nothing. Every disciple of the Soul's Sacred Hall had terrifying talent in their respective fields. Sixth brother, are you that confident? Ouyang Wushuang was not angry. It's not confidence, it's the truth. Ouyang Wuji said with great confidence. He continued, Ninth brother, to put it bluntly, your strength is already weak. What qualifications do you have for me to help you? Why don't you help me defeat Big Brother? Sixth brother, strength is not determined by words. Ouyang Wushuang said indifferently. Oh. Does that mean that ninth brother has the confidence to compete with me? Ouyang Wuji said. Ouyang Wushuang did not finish his words. He raised his wine cup and took a sip. Obviously, he agreed. Huh, good. Since ninth brother is so confident, sixth brother would like to see it for himself. Why don't we exchange pointers? Ouyang Wuji said. What kind of exchange? Ouyang Wushuang asked. You and I are well aware of our battle strength. There's no need to exchange pointers. Let's see who's stronger and who's weaker. Ouyang Wuji said. All right. Ouyang Wushuang nodded. He understood that Ouyang Wuji's main purpose of hosting this banquet was to suppress his morale and persuade him to help Ouyang Wuji. How could he back down? Set up the battle stage. Ouyang Wuji said. Immediately, a rumbling sound came from an empty space. Then, a huge battle stage appeared. Whoosh! A figure flashed out from Ouyang Wuji's side and stood on the battle stage. He did not hide his aura at all. Layers of white flames bloomed, causing the space around him to distort. My name is Yuji, a disciple of the Soul Sacred Hall. My cultivation is at the Great Saint Realm and I specialize in the Law of Fire. The Purple Flame Villa also specializes in the Law of Fire. Which Great Saint Realm cultivator in the Great Saint Realm would like to fight me? Yuji glanced at Lu Ming and the others. However, he only glanced at Lu Ming and the others before his gaze landed on the people from the Purple Flame Villa. I'll fight you. A genius from the Purple Flame Villa stepped into the air and rushed onto the battle stage. This person was the one who had been defeated by Lu Ming the day before. The two of them stood on the battle stage. Their auras exploded, causing the battle stage to heat up. A light screen rose around the battle stage, isolating them from the heat. The two of them did not say anything else and immediately started fighting. Both of them cultivated the Law of Fire and were filled with terrifying destructive power. Their attacks constantly collided, causing explosions and raging flames. However, Yuji's white flames were extremely powerful. In just a few moves, he had gained the upper hand and began to suppress the genius from the Purple Flame Villa. After a dozen moves, the genius from the Purple Flame Villa was no match for Yuji. He was blasted out of the battle stage by Yuji and vomited blood. Yuji was defeated. They were both in the Great Sage Peak, but he was defeated by his opponent in a dozen moves. This made the faces of the geniuses from the Purple Flame Villa turn ugly. Ouyang Wushuang's face also darkened. I've long heard that every genius from the One Sacred Palace is very terrifying. They are known as the only ones in the world. Every attribute and every domain is unique. It's really amazing. Huang Ling said softly. That's right. Yuji's white flames are extremely strange. They can even burn flames. Long Chen also said with a grave expression. Flames could burn other flames. It was really strange and terrifying. Are you worthy of cultivating the law of fire? Chapter 1827. Purple Flame Villa was a fire cultivator, but now they were being looked down upon in this field. This made their faces turn even uglier. I'll fight you. Someone roared, and a figure rushed into the fighting ring. It was Xiao Mucheng, the leader of these geniuses from Purple Flame Villa. He was also a complete supreme saint. In fact, many of the top prodigies' cultivation bases were at the Great Sage Perfection realm. After all, there were very few who could reach the absolute saint realm among the younger generation. It wasn't that easy to break through. Of course, there were differences in combat power among those in the same realm. Die. Xiao Mucheng went into the fighting ring and attacked directly. He kept punching out with his fists. In the sky, huge meteorites with purple flames fell toward Yuji. The white flames around Yuji's body condensed into battle swords. They slashed out violently, splitting the meteorites one by one. On the fighting ring, there were continuous explosions, and it was more intense than before. Xiao Mucheng's combat power was stronger than that of the previous genius from Purple Flame Villa. His theurgy art was more profound, at least 70%. It was very powerful. The two exchanged more than 100 blows. On the fighting ring, there were white and purple flames fighting against each other. However, after more than 100 blows, Xiao Mucheng was still defeated and gradually fell into a disadvantageous position. After more than 100 blows, Xiao Mucheng was blasted out of the fighting ring by Yuji. Xiao Mucheng was also defeated. The combat power of the disciples from the One Only Temple was indeed amazing. Who else is in the complete Supreme Saint realm? Come and fight me. Yuji shouted. His eyes were like lightning as he glanced at the people from Purple Flame Villa. The people from Purple Flame Villa were silent. Even their leader, Xiao Mucheng, had been defeated. The others would only be humiliating themselves if they went up. Hehe, you're really weak. Senior brother Yuji isn't the strongest among the complete supreme saints from the One Only Temple. Someone from the One Only Temple sneered. This made the hearts of Purple Flame Villa and Ouyang Wushuang sink. Yuji wasn't the strongest among the complete supreme saints from the One Only Temple? How was that possible? Yuji's combat strength was almost invincible among those of the same level, unless it was a king physique that controlled the law of the king, or a superior heaven spiritual physique. However, such people were not cabbages that could be found everywhere. And in the Soul Holy Temple, there were great sages who were even stronger than Yuji. No wonder the Soul Holy Temple was so arrogant, and no wonder Ouyang Wuji was so confident. Ninth brother, you've seen it for yourself, right? Ouyang Wuji said lightly. The sparring has just begun. What's the hurry, sixth brother? Ouyang Wushuang said. Oh. Then let's continue. Since no one in Great Sage Perfection dares to fight, then let's change to Great Sage Peak. Ouyang Wuji snorted coldly. As soon as Yuji left the arena, another person from the Soul Sage Cathedral stepped onto the arena floor, revealing a cultivation base at the peak of the Great Sage level. Ouyang Wuji wanted to completely crush Ouyang Wushuang's side at all levels. Peak of the Great Sage realm. Who wants to fight me? The pride of the one and only Divine Palace was full of pride and confidence. The pride of the Purple Flame Villa looked very solemn. In the end, a Great Sage Peak pride stepped onto the arena floor. Unfortunately, he was no match for the pride of the one and only Divine Palace. Just like before, it was basically a one-sided battle. In just a few dozen moves, the pride of the Purple Flame Villa was defeated. Then, the Purple Flame Villa sent out another pride, but he was no match for the one. Great Sage Perfection and Great Sage Pinnacle were all swept away and crushed. Ninth brother, I've said that even if you participate in the test, you won't have a chance. Why don't you come and help me? Ouyang Wuji continued. We've only gone through 2 levels. The great sage Greater Mastery hasn't fought yet. 6th brother, you're too early to say that. Ouyang Wushuang said. Do great sage Greater Mastery need to fight? People at this level are almost useless in this test. Ouyang Wuji smiled disdainfully. This time, the pride of the Soul Sage Cathedral was the best of the best. Not only did they have strong spiritual bodies, but their divine abilities were also at the peak of the Great Sage realm. Most of them were Great Sage perfection. Great Sage Greater Mastery would have no impact on the battle. How do you know if we haven't fought? Ouyang Wushuang said. Since 9th brother insists, why don't we fight? I happen to have a Great Sage Greater Mastery prodigy on my side. Ouyang Wuji said. Then, a Great Sage Greater Mastery prodigy from the Soul Sage Cathedral stepped onto the battle platform. Great Sage Greater Mastery. Who wants to fight? The man shouted. The Purple Flame Villa prodigies looked at each other. There was no Great Sage Greater Mastery among them. I'll fight this battle. Long Chen stood up and stepped onto the battle platform. Long Chen's cultivation was at the Great Sage Greater Mastery. 9th brother, I heard that you've invited a few prodigies from the Ancient Moon's sacred temple to help. Could it be them? Their cultivation is a little low. Ouyang Wuji smiled with a hint of mockery. The prodigies he had invited from the Ancient Moon's sacred ground were all Great Sage perfection, such as Mo Lang and the second prince of the Golden Crow. Although they were not as strong as the prodigies from the Soul Sage Cathedral, their combat strength was not to be underestimated. The factor that determines one's combat strength is not determined by their cultivation. Ouyang Wushuang replied calmly. Oh, is that so? Not everyone is as talented as 9th brother. Ouyang Wuji smiled. On the battle platform, Long Chen stood with his hands behind his back. His aura was extraordinary, but it did not sit well with the people from the Soul Sage Cathedral. Do you still want me to fight? I advise you to get off the stage yourself. The prodigy from the Soul Sage Cathedral said arrogantly. If you can take 3 of my moves, I'll admit defeat. Long Chen said calmly. What? 3 of your moves? Ha ha ha. The prodigy from the Soul Sage Cathedral laughed out loud. He was not the only one. Everyone below the battle platform laughed out loud. The prodigy from the Soul Sage Cathedral was almost invincible in a battle of the same level. Now, Long Chen said that he would defeat the prodigy from the Soul Sage Cathedral in 3 moves. Wasn't that ridiculous? 9th brother, this friend of yours is really... Ouyang Wuji was about to mock Long Chen, but his words were stuck in his throat. The trumpeting of an elephant resounded through the sky. One of Long Chen's arms swelled rapidly. He took a step forward and the battle platform shook. Then, he threw a punch at the prodigy from the Soul Sage Cathedral. Boom! Wherever the fist chi passed, the sky shook violently. The air instantly evaporated, forming a terrifying vacuum. The terrifying power caused the prodigy from the Soul Sage Cathedral to turn pale. Block it. The prodigy from the Soul Sage Cathedral used all his strength to block it, but it was useless. Long Chen's fist chi smashed through everything that blocked it. The prodigy from the Soul Sage Cathedral screamed as his body was sent flying. He fell heavily off the battle platform. Half of his body was smashed and he was almost beaten to death. How is this possible? Chapter 1828. The prodigy of the One Sanctum was known as the only one in the world who was invincible among those of the same level. But now, he had been defeated by Long Chen in 1 move. This shocked everyone. Long Chen was being polite when he said 3 moves. In fact, he could not even block 1 move. It's the ultimate law of power, one of the kingly law. Someone from the One Sanctum recognized Long Chen's law. This person has a kingly body and controls the ultimate law of power. No wonder he's so terrifying. He has a kingly body like the 9th prince. The prodigies of the One Sanctum discussed among themselves. This guy is also so strong? The prodigies of the Purple Flame Villa looked at Long Chen in shock. Previously, Lu Ming's combat strength was extremely strong. They did not expect Long Chen to be so strong as well. He had defeated the One Sanctum's prodigy with one move. Could it be that these people are all so abnormal? They looked at Lu Ming and Huang Ling Mo Lang, the Golden Crow's second prince, and the others from the ancient moon's sacred ground looked serious. They already knew that Long Chen had a kingly body and controlled the kingly law. What's the point of fighting among those of the same level? Since I'm a prodigy, I should fight above my level. Who among you who are at the peak of the Supreme Saint realm wants to fight? Long Chen's voice rang out as he looked in the direction of the One Sanctum. Many people were shocked. Long Chen wanted to fight above his level. Wasn't he too confident? To these prodigies, it was naturally not difficult for them to fight above their cultivation level. In fact, it was a piece of cake. But that was only for ordinary martial artists. For example, those with inferior earth spiritual bodies, intermediate earth spiritual bodies, or even superior earth spiritual bodies. But as prodigies, who could say that they could fight above their level? Unless they had combat strength that far exceeded their level. Humph, although you have a kingly body and control the kingly law, you may not be able to fight above your level. A prodigy from the One Sanctum snorted. Nonsense, do you dare to fight? Long Chen was domineering, and his fighting spirit was overwhelming. You asked for it. I'll fulfill your wish. A prodigy from the One Sanctum stepped into the air and appeared in the fighting ring. This was the prodigy who had defeated the peak Supreme Saint from the Purple Flame Villa. His combat strength was extremely strong. Almost no one in the same level could beat him, let alone Long Chen who was one level above him. I'll let you understand that even if you control the laws of kings, you're not invincible. The genius from the only temple shouted coldly. A terrifying aura erupted. Dazzling golden light bloomed in his hand, forming a golden battle sword. This person controlled the law of metal and was incomparably sharp. Roar! An elephant's trumpet sounded, and Long Chen's entire body swelled up. The law of power circulated as if it was filled with endless power. Boom! Boom! Long Chen stepped onto the battle platform, which rumbled continuously as he charged towards his opponent. Whoosh! His golden sword was incomparably sharp and was 10 meters long. It slashed towards Long Chen, but Long Chen punched out. Clang! The sound of metal clashing against metal rang out. His opponent's metal sword vibrated violently before exploding. His opponent's body retreated continuously. So strong? Many people were shocked. Long Chen's strength was too great. He was one level higher than him, yet he had destroyed his opponent's attack with a single punch. Again. Long Chen took a step forward and threw another punch at his opponent. 10,000 weapons, slash. The only temple's genius shouted. The law of metal circulated, and a dense array of weapons condensed in the sky. They charged towards Long Chen from all directions. However, Long Chen's attack was very simple. He threw out one punch after another, but every punch caused the void to tremble. Wherever the fist force passed, all the weapons would explode. The terrifying fist force continued to surge towards his opponent, forcing him to retreat. Diamond Giants. The genius from the only temple shouted. His saint power surged, and two huge creatures condensed in front of him. These two giants were golden and seemed to be completely made of metal. They were 10 meters tall and had an intimidating aura. Dong! Dong! The two diamond giants took a step forward, and their fists, which were the size of water tanks, charged towards Long Chen. Long Chen was fearless as he raised his fist to meet the attack. It was a battle of strength between the strong. Long Chen's fist collided with the diamond giant's fists, and a terrifying roar rang out. Scrap metal, break for me! Long Chen roared. His fist force was like a rainbow as he continued to attack the diamond giants. Bam! One of the diamond giants could not withstand Long Chen's power and was crushed by his power. Then, Long Chen soared into the sky and stepped on one of the diamond giants. This step was like the resurrection of an ancient dragon elephant, and it suppressed the heavens. This diamond giant was also crushed, and it turned into energy and disappeared. After Long Chen crushed the diamond giant, he used the energy to charge towards the only temple's genius. His fist force was like a rainbow, and it was unstoppable. The genius from the only temple grunted and spat out blood as he flew out of the fighting ring. Long Chen had won again. The crowd fell silent. Previously, it was normal for Long Chen to defeat a genius of the same level as him in one move. But now, he had surpassed a level and defeated the genius from the only temple. This was shocking. Moreover, the genius from the only temple was very powerful. He had just defeated the other geniuses from the Purple Flame Villa. The genius from the only temple looked gloomy. The genius from the Purple Flame Villa was dumbfounded. Only Lu Ming and Huang Ling's expressions did not change. This result was within their expectations. Long Chen had mastered the law of kings, and his spiritual body had evolved into a superior spiritual body. It was normal for him to defeat an opponent who was one level higher than him. In fact, Long Chen had not even used his full strength just now. Good, ha ha ha. Ouyang Wushuang laughed and let out a long breath, exhaling the anger that he had suppressed just now. Ouyang Wuji's face was gloomy, and he did not say anything. Long Chen, let me go up and play. At this moment, Huang Ling stood up, stepped into the air, and landed on the fighting ring. Long Chen nodded and got off the fighting ring. Everyone, I am also in the Great Sage Greater Mastery. I would like to learn from Brother Long Chen and challenge someone who is at the peak of the Great Sage realm. Who would like to spar with me? Huang Ling's voice was heard as she looked at the only temple. Another Great Sage Greater Mastery challenging someone at the peak of the Great Sage realm? Could this beautiful woman also be a genius of Long Chen's level? How can a genius of that level appear so easily? I don't believe it. I will fight this battle. A woman from the only temple flew up. This woman was quite beautiful, but she was overshadowed by Huang Ling. She was already unhappy when she saw Huang Ling. Now that Huang Ling wanted to challenge someone who was at the peak of the Great Sage realm with her Great Sage Greater Mastery cultivation, she immediately went up. Without any superfluous words, the two of them directly attacked. The woman from the only temple had mastered the law of water, and her strength was very shocking. However, she had encountered Huang Ling, and her defeat was set. Just like Long Chen, Huang Ling knocked her opponent off the fighting ring in a few moves. The law of undying fire and another king body. How is this possible? Chapter 1829. Previously, there was Long Chen, and now there was Huang Ling, who also mastered the law of kings. Her combat strength was amazing, and she defeated her opponent, who was one level higher than her. Ouyang Wuji's face became more and more ugly. Today, he invited Ouyang Wushuang and Lu Ming to a banquet. His purpose was to defeat Ouyang Wushuang at the banquet. He wanted to defeat Ouyang Wushuang's side with an overwhelming force. In the end, he would force Ouyang Wushuang to agree to help him fight against Ouyang Wudao when he lost all his confidence. But now, Long Chen and Huang Ling were continuously fighting above their level. The momentum that he had accumulated previously had disappeared. Huang Ling floated down and returned to her seat. Sixth brother, I have said that a high cultivation does not mean a high combat strength. Cultivation is only one of the factors that determine combat strength. There are many factors that determine the strength of combat strength. Ouyang Wushuang said with a carefree smile. Humph, ninth brother, no matter how strong they are only Great Sage Greater Mastery. They can defeat a Great Sage peak, but can they defeat a Great Sage peak? Is it useful to rely on the two of them in this test? Ouyang Wuji snorted and said indifferently. No matter how strong Long Chen and Huang Ling were, they were only equivalent to two powerful Great Sage peak. How could they affect the overall situation? The test this time wasn't about who was stronger among those of the same level. What's the hurry? The test is not over yet. Ouyang Wushuang smiled faintly. The test is not over yet? The Great Sage Greater Mastery has already competed. Are we going to compete with the Great Sage Lesser Mastery? Huh, ninth brother, what's the use of Great Sage Lesser Mastery in this test? Are they going to die? Ninth brother, don't tell me you have invited Great Sage Lesser Mastery as well? Ouyang Wuji's continuous questions revealed deep sarcasm. At the same time, his gaze swept across the crowd and finally fell on Lu Ming. On Ouyang Wushuang's side, needless to say, the people of Purple Flame Villa were all Great Sage Peak and Great Sage Peak perfection. Long Chen and Huang Ling had shown their cultivation. The only one who had not shown his cultivation was Lu Ming. If there was another Great Sage Lesser Mastery, then it could only be Lu Ming. The others also looked at Lu Ming. Sixth brother, I have said that a high cultivation does not mean a high combat strength. Ouyang Wushuang added. How could I not know this? But there must be a limit to a low cultivation. He is merely a Great Sage Minor Mastery. Even if he can fight across a level like the previous two, what's the use? He is just equivalent to a Great Sage Great Mastery character. I'm afraid anyone here can defeat him. Ninth brother, at the end of the day, your strength isn't that great. You're still helping me deal with the first prince. I'll say it again, I won't mistreat you. Ouyang Wuji rattled on and on. However, he did not see the expressions of Mo Lang, the Golden Crow's sixth prince, and the people from the ancient Moon Holy Land, nor did he see the expressions of the people from the Purple Flame Villa. A Great Sage Minor Mastery was equivalent to a Great Sage Great Mastery at most. To Lu Ming, this was simply impossible. Ouyang Wushuang ignored Ouyang Wuji and looked at Lu Ming, saying, Lu Ming, do you want to play? Alright, let's have some fun. Lu Ming stood up. Big brother Lu Ming, beat them up, chirp chirp. Bubbles waved her little fists and cheered for Lu Ming. This pervert is going to make his move. The people from the Purple Flame Villa looked at Lu Ming with deep fear in their eyes. However, they naturally wouldn't remind Soul Sanctum. Soul Sanctum had humiliated them earlier and they were happy to see Soul Sanctum suffer a setback. All right. Lu Ming patted Bubbles' little head and stepped out, landing on the fighting ring. It's this perverted guy. He's a complete piece of trash. Previously, he dared to tease junior sister Autumn Moon on the street and was sent flying by my palm. Now, he's still pretending. A young man from the Soul Holy Temple sneered disdainfully. So it's this guy. How dare he? Another person from the Soul Holy Temple sneered. Everyone, this guy is not simple. Mo Lang from the Sky Wolf Pagoda wanted to warn the Sky Prides from the Soul Holy Temple. What do you mean by not simple? Isn't he just a great saint in the initial stage? Are you looking down on us because we've lost 2 rounds? Yuji's gaze swept towards Mo Lang, causing him to shiver. He then shook his head and kept quiet. These people from the Soul Holy Temple were very arrogant and looked down on Mo Lang and the others. During this period, Mo Lang and the others had been ridiculed. Since these people did not listen to him, he was too lazy to say anything. Kid, let me tell you. You're just a great saint in the initial stage. No one here is a great saint in the initial stage. You must challenge them. In 2 days, I'll call a junior brother to play with you. A Sky Pride from the Soul Holy Temple looked at Lu Ming mockingly. You only know how to challenge people of the same level. How can you be considered a Sky Pride? You're just a piece of trash. Since you're a Sky Pride, you must challenge those of a higher level. All of you, as long as you're a great saint, come up and fight me. Lu Ming said indifferently. What? The Sky Prides from the Soul Holy Temple, including Ouyang Wuji, were stunned. What did Lu Ming say? As long as they were in the Great Saint realm, they could challenge him? Was this kid crazy? He was just a great saint in the initial stage. How dare he say that he could challenge anyone in the great saint realm? Did he really think that everyone here was trash? Everyone here was a peerless sky pride. Even an ordinary martial artist in the initial stage of the great saint realm could not challenge a great saint realm in the great saint realm, let alone a sky pride. This kid must be crazy. Ha ha ha, this brat, could it be that he has gone crazy after being hit by my palm last time? The young man who sent Lu Ming flying last time laughed loudly. How dare he say that he could challenge anyone in the great saint realm? If he was not crazy, then what was? Ninth brother, did you really invite this person here? I'm afraid he hasn't seen the world yet. Ouyang Wuji sneered. A great saint in the initial stage could challenge a great saint in the great saint realm. Moreover, he was a peerless sky pride. Even if you beat him to death, he would not believe that there was such a person in the world. You talk too much nonsense. Do you dare to challenge me? Lu Ming scolded, looking down at the sky prides from the Seoul Holy Temple and Mo Lang. Mo Lang and the others felt their hearts skip a beat when Lu Ming glanced at them. They did not dare to look at Lu Ming and lowered their heads. They knew that they were no match for Lu Ming. I'll destroy this kid. He just came and stared at junior sister Autumn Moon. I'll let him know what kind of trash he is. A young man from the Seoul Holy Temple shouted coldly and rushed into the fighting ring. His aura was released. He was a peak great saint expert. Senior brother, go easy on him. Don't kill him in one move. That'll be boring. The young man who sent Lu Ming flying on the street said arrogantly. Make your move. Lu Ming looked at him indifferently. Kneel down. The young man shouted and struck with his palm. A huge khaki-colored palm grabbed at Lu Ming. This person controlled the law of earth and had amazing power. Boom. Chapter 1830. Lu Ming used the hell-suppressing heaven skill. The law of chaos circulated as he punched out. The terrifying fist energy whistled and destroyed the opponent's giant hand. The sky pride from the only sacred temple's face darkened. He shouted coldly, "You're quite capable. Let's see how many moves you can take." The opponent waved his hand. The law of earth circulated in the sky, forming mountains that pressed down on Lu Ming. I'm too lazy to play with you. Lu Ming spoke calmly. He took a step forward and dashed toward the other party at lightning speed. At the same time, he threw out a punch. A ray of fist radiance pierced through the air and swept away all the mountains. The terrifying fist force continued to blast toward the genius from the one holy temple. The fist energy was unstoppable. It was as if the entire world was being crushed. The opponent's face changed drastically. The law of earth circulated and set up layers of defense in front of him. But it was useless. Lu Ming's fist energy crushed all the defenses. The sky pride from the only sacred temple spat out a mouthful of blood. His body flew far away and fell on the fighting ring. The entire place was silent. The sky pride from the only sacred temple, who was at the peak of the supreme saint realm, had been defeated so easily by Lu Ming. There was no resistance at all. How could a person at the initial stage of the supreme saint realm have such shocking combat strength? The other sky prides from the only sacred temple looked gloomy. Mo Lang, the Golden Crow's second prince, and the other sky prides from the ancient moon sacred ground and purple flame villa had complicated expressions. They had long known about Lu Ming's combat strength. They were not surprised by this result. How is this possible? The young man who had sent Lu Ming flying with one palm on the street widened his eyes in disbelief at this scene. Wasn't Lu Ming sent flying with a single palm strike? Why was his combat strength so terrifying now? Ha, sixth brother, I've told you before. Cultivation never represents combat strength. Ouyang Wushuang laughed. Ouyang Wuji's face darkened and he did not speak. Huang Ling and Long Chen were able to defeat the sky pride from the only sacred temple. But now, Lu Ming was able to defeat the Sky Pride from the only sacred temple. Even Ouyang Wuji found it unbelievable. Great sages, Yang Qi said. If any of you want to come up here and fight, you're welcome. Lu Ming stood on the fighting ring, his voice spreading in all directions. But this time, no one mocked him. Because just now, Lu Ming had used his battle prowess to prove that he had the strength to do so. Let me, said a voice. Then, a figure stepped into the air and landed on the fighting stage. Yu Ji. Many people's hearts trembled. Yu Ji was a great sage in the Great Perfection Realm. Previously, he had defeated the Great Perfection Realm Sky Prides of the Purple Flame Villa with his powerful combat strength. It could be said that among the great circle of the great sage level, his battle prowess was definitely at the very top. Unless he had a monarch body, he would be virtually invincible. Now, he was going to fight Lu Ming, whose cultivation was only at the great sage minor mastery. Many people were very curious. Could Lu Ming fight with Yu Ji? Although Lu Ming is strong, he can't be a match for Yu Ji. I've heard of a great sage in the lesser mastery defeating a great sage in the Great Perfection Realm, but I've never heard of a great sage in the Great Perfection Realm like Yu Ji. That's right. Even the Son of Heaven would find it difficult to do so. The difference in cultivation is too great. The Sky Prides of the Soul's Sanctum were discussing. This time, even Mo Lang, the Golden Crow's second prince, and the Sky Prides of the Purple Flame Villa thought that Lu Ming's chances of winning were not high. Although Lu Ming could kill a Sky Pride like Wan Jingyang's cultivation was also at the Great Perfection Realm, but he was definitely not a match for Yu Ji. Make your move, Lu Ming said indifferently. Kill. Yu Ji's body was covered in white flames, and the temperature was shockingly high. The flames formed a battle saber and slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's chaotic law flowed all over his body as he used the hell-suppressing heaven skill. His palm was like a saber as he slashed out. Boom! There was a violent explosion, and the power of flames filled half of the battle platform. Then, a figure could be seen taking 7 or 8 steps back before he could stabilize himself. That figure was Yu Ji, and Lu Ming did not move at all. Yu Ji has been defeated. Many people gasped in shock. Could it be that even Yu Ji was no match for Lu Ming? The law he controls seems to be the law of chaos. Someone suddenly exclaimed. That's right. The light of chaos is very similar to the legendary law of chaos. Could this person be one of the sons of heaven, the son of chaos? It should be. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so powerful. I didn't expect the son of chaos to appear here. Many people could also see that Lu Ming controlled the law of chaos, and they immediately discussed it intensely. Ouyang Wuji's face turned even colder. He did not expect Ouyang Wushuang to know a son of chaos. Ninth brother, your connections are really wide. You actually know a son of chaos. Ouyang Wuji said, his voice full of jealousy. Of course, he was jealous. Huang Ling and Long Chen, whom Ouyang Wuji had invited, both controlled the law of kings, and Lu Ming controlled one of the 10 strongest laws. Although such a genius's cultivation was still weak now, he would definitely be terrifying in the future. Why didn't he know such a powerful genius? Damn it. Yu Ji retreated and growled, his face even gloomier. The one only sacred palace was known as the only one in the world, but now, he was defeated by Lu Ming even though his cultivation was so much higher. It was unbearable for him. The flames on his body burned even more fiercely. The white flames danced, distorting the space around him. However, at that moment, Lu Ming's gaze moved away from Yu Ji and looked at the one only sacred palace, at Autumn Moon. At that moment, Autumn Moon's gaze was also curiously sizing up Lu Ming, as if she did not know Lu Ming at all. Autumn Moon, I'm Lu Ming. I'm your young master. Do you still remember me? Lu Ming said, his voice spreading far and wide. Lu Ming? Young master? Those words made Autumn Moon frown as if she was thinking. How dare you? This guy is taking advantage of junior sister Autumn Moon again. Senior brother Yuji, teach him a lesson. The genius of the one only sacred palace shouted unhappily. Raging flame storm cut. At that moment, Yuji roared and the flames on his body condensed into a huge battle saber. The battle saber slashed hundreds of times in an instant, and the flaming saber light swept toward Lu Ming. This was Yuji's divine skill, and its power was extremely shocking. Get lost. Lu Ming shouted and pointed his finger. A huge chaotic calamity finger was formed and blasted toward Yuji. Boom! The chaos calamity finger was like the finger of a god. With a touch, all the saber gleams shattered. The terrifying force crushed toward Yuji. Yuji retreated all the way to the edge of the fighting ring before he stopped. His body trembled slightly and he was almost blasted off the fighting ring by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's gaze was still fixed on Autumn Moon, and he did not look at Yuji. Autumn Moon, it's been more than 10 years since we last met. Do you still remember Master and Madam, my father Lu Yuntian, and my mother Li Ping? They all miss you very much. Chapter 1831. Master and Madam, Chiao Yu muttered to herself, and the look in her eyes became more intense. She frowned as if she was thinking hard about something. Kill! Yuji roared, and charged towards Lu Ming. Flames filled the sky, and in the sky, sabers and swords condensed from flames appeared one after another, and like a storm, they charged towards Lu Ming. This move was Yuji's strongest move, and it displayed the divine art to the extreme. Get down! Lu Ming didn't even look and pointed out another finger. This time, Lu Ming raised the power of the chaotic calamity finger to the extreme. Lu Ming didn't use his full strength in the previous finger. The law of primal chaos erupted, and the chaotic calamity finger was formed and blasted out, crushing all obstacles. All the weapons condensed from flames exploded in an instant. Yuji's face changed drastically, and with a scream, his body was blasted out like a cannonball. He flew out of the battle platform for a long distance before falling to the ground and vomiting blood. He was severely injured by this move. If it weren't for his flame's spiritual body and tenacious vitality, his physical body would have exploded. Yuji was defeated. He was utterly defeated. Many people were silent. This kind of combat strength was beyond their imagination. A lesser great saint defeated Yuji, who was in the great saint perfection realm. Yuji was a peerless genius, and this kind of combat strength was simply unheard of. Especially the geniuses of the Purple Flame Villa, they remembered that when they first saw Lu Ming and the others, they mocked Lu Ming and the others. Now that they thought about it, they felt embarrassed and ashamed. Some of the people from the Soul Holy Temple blushed. Lu Ming said before that as long as they were in the Great Saint Realm, they could challenge them at will, and they even mocked Lu Ming for being crazy. Now, it seemed that Lu Ming had a well-thought-out plan. On the contrary, they seemed a little ridiculous. They were like clowns. Ouyang Wushuang laughed heartily. Sixth brother, how is it? So what if you're in the Great Saint Perfection Realm? You still lost. It seems that my side is stronger. Sixth brother, do you want to help me get the position of Crown Prince? Ouyang Wushuang smiled. Ouyang Wuji's face was extremely gloomy. He knew that his plan to suppress Ouyang Wushuang and make Ouyang Wushuang help him fight against the first prince, Ouyang Wudao, had failed. It was all because of Lu Ming, Long Chen, and Huang Ling. Ouyang Wuji clenched his fists, his eyes cold. In the beginning, everything went according to his plan. Everything went smoothly. However, after Long Chen made his move, all of his plans were messed up. Long Chen and Huang Ling's battle prowess was extremely powerful. They were actually able to defeat the geniuses of the One Temple. However, this was nothing. No matter how strong Long Chen and Huang Ling were, it would be difficult for them to contend against the geniuses of the Great Sage Perfections. They would not have much impact on the overall situation. However, Lu Ming's subsequent actions completely disrupted his plans. Lu Ming's battle prowess could even defeat Yu Ji. This kind of battle prowess could already affect the battle situation. In this way, he did not have an overwhelming advantage. Why would Ouyang Wushuang help him? Ninth brother, this test is a test of overall strength. Although Lu Ming is strong, he's only one person. I advise you to help me. Ouyang Wuji said with a gloomy face. Oh, if that's the case, we'll see who's stronger during the test. Ouyang Wushuang said. Alright, then we'll see during the test. Ouyang Wuji said with a cold face. Various thoughts ran through everyone's mind. However, Lu Ming's gaze was still fixed on Autumn Moon. Autumn Moon, what's wrong with you? Do you still remember the Lu family of Windfire City? Do you still remember the Mystic Essence Sword Sect? Do you still remember the Burning Sun Empire? Lu Ming's voice was like a bell that resounded between heaven and earth. He continuously asked a series of questions that seemed to penetrate deep into Autumn Moon's heart. Lu family of Windfire City. Mystic Essence Sword Sect. Lu family of Windfire City. Xiao Yu kept muttering to herself. Her eyes were filled with confusion. After a while, a painful expression appeared on her face. She let out a soft cry and flew up into the sky. She turned into a beam of light and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Autumn Moon, just as Lu Ming was about to chase after her, a few elites from the only sacred palace blocked Lu Ming's path. Damn it, what did you say to Autumn Moon? Why did you make her so abnormal? If anything happens to junior sister Autumn Moon, you'll die without a burial place. The elites from the only sacred palace shouted coldly, and a powerful aura pressed down on Lu Ming. What? Are you trying to bully me with your numbers? Long Chen said as he stepped out and came to Lu Ming's side. Then, Huang Ling did the same. How dare you? Ouyang Wuji shouted coldly and stood up. A powerful aura exploded from his body as he looked coldly at Lu Ming and the others. At the same time, Mo Lang and the second prince of the Golden Crow also stared at Lu Ming unkindly. If they could take the opportunity to kill Lu Ming today, they would be willing to do so. Sixth brother, are you going to start a fight with me before the assessment starts? If word gets out, both of us will be disqualified. Wouldn't that benefit Ouyang Wudao? Ouyang Wushuang also stood up and confronted Ouyang Wuji. Ouyang Wuji's expression changed. He did want to take the opportunity to cripple Lu Ming, but Ouyang Wushuang was right. If the two of them started a fight, the consequences would be unpredictable. Whether they would be disqualified or not, Ouyang Wudao would benefit. Humph, ninth brother, I'll see you at the assessment. Ouyang Wuji pondered for a while, waved his sleeves and snorted coldly. Lu Ming, let's go first. Ouyang Wushuang looked at Lu Ming and said. Lu Ming looked in the direction where Autumn Moon had left and frowned. Something must have happened to Autumn Moon. But one thing was for sure. Autumn Moon had not been possessed. If she had been possessed and Lu Ming kept asking her questions, she would not have reacted this way. Autumn Moon, I will find out what you have experienced. Lu Ming's gaze was cold. The only thing he could do now was to find out what Autumn Moon had experienced. Only then could he find the right solution. Lu Ming did not pursue. He turned around and left with Ouyang Wushuang and the others. In Ouyang Wushuang's residence, Lu Ming and Ouyang Wushuang sat opposite each other at a stone table in a courtyard. Lu Ming, you asked me about Miss Autumn Moon. Do you know her? Are you really her young master? Ouyang Wushuang asked curiously. That's right. Lu Ming nodded and said, Autumn Moon and I came from the same place. Before she came to Yuanlu, she was my maid. Lu Ming briefly explained the relationship between him and Autumn Moon. The proud daughter of the One Sanctum is actually your maid. After hearing this, Ouyang Wushuang was shocked. But when Autumn Moon saw me, she seemed to have forgotten me. Something must have happened to her. Ouyang, have you heard anything about this? Lu Ming asked. Just now, Lu Ming came to find Ouyang Wushuang alone to ask about this. Chapter 1832. What happened? Ouyang Wushuang frowned and pondered. After a while, Ouyang Wushuang said, "A year ago, something big happened in the ancient Sun Holy Land. Is it related to Miss Autumn Moon?" "What happened?" Lu Ming asked quickly. 1 year ago, Miss Chiu Yu's master, an extremely powerful existence in the only holy temple, suddenly went mad and killed his way to the Daluo Heaven sect. I don't know what happened in the end, but Master Chiu Yu retreated. Ouyang Wushuang said. Miss Autumn Moon's master suddenly went to the Daluo Heaven sect? Lu Ming pondered. Miss Chiu Yu's master is definitely a true emperor, one of the strongest among true emperors. The Daluo Heaven sect is the strongest sect in the ancient Sun sacred ground. Rumor has it that there is a grand emperor there. Why would Miss Chiu Yu's master come to the Daluo Heaven sect unless something big happened? This incident caused a huge commotion in the sacred ground. Many speculated about what happened to make a powerful true emperor furious and went all the way to Daluo Heaven sect. But in the end, the matter was left unsettled and he directly retreated. However, there's no consensus on this matter yet. Ouyang Wushuang said. The Daluo Heaven sect, is it related to the incident of Miss Autumn Moon? Lu Ming frowned and then chatted with Ouyang Wushuang for a while. But they didn't come to a conclusion, so they left. 7 days passed in the blink of an eye. 7 days later, Ouyang Wushuang called everyone together again. Everyone, the content of the assessment is here. It is divided into 3 parts. The first part is to command the troops in battle. Ouyang Wushuang said. Command the troops in battle? Everyone was stunned. Yes, if you want to be the crown prince, you need to be excellent in all aspects, such as martial arts talent, wisdom, and connections. Only then can you control a country. The first part of the assessment is in a formation world. Ouyang Wuji, Ouyang Wudao, and I will each lead 30,000 troops to battle. We will be ranked according to the results. Ouyang Wushuang explained. Each side has 30,000 troops. Is the cultivation of the troops about the same among the 3 sides? Someone asked. If one side had an army of 30,000 strong while the other side had a weak army, then no matter how good one's commanding ability was, it would be useless. Don't worry about that. Everyone who enters the world of the formation will only enter with their spiritual sense. Their cultivation will be suppressed to the first layer martial dominator realm, and even if they are killed inside, they will only be eliminated instead of dying. Ouyang Wushuang said. No wonder. Everyone was surprised. Everyone's cultivation was martial royal realm of martial royal realm? They entered the martial royal realm? And was martial royal realm? In an army of tens of thousands, the strength of an individual could not affect the overall situation. Only the ability to command troops and the coordination of battle formations could be maximized. T-Tess. T. Saying this, Ouyang Wushuang headed toward the exit. The crowd followed him and soon arrived at a spacious area. Mystical runes flickered in all directions of the area, forming a mystical formation. On the ground, several figures sat with their legs crossed with their eyes closed as if they were meditating. There are 30,000 people here. They are currently in the formation world, which is guarded by the experts of the kingdom. Don't worry, no one will disturb you when you enter the formation world. Let's go in too. Ouyang Wushuang said as he landed on the ground and sat down with his legs crossed. Lu Ming and the others landed on the ground and sat down with their legs crossed. Following this, runes began to crawl onto their bodies and encapsulate them. Lu Ming could feel his mind leaving his body and entering a rift. Not long after, Lu Ming opened his eyes and discovered himself on a platform. Beside him, Ouyang Wushuang, Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others appeared too. My cultivation is indeed at the first layer martial dominator realm. Lu Ming inspected his body and discovered that his cultivation was indeed at the first layer martial dominator realm. Everyone else's cultivation was at the first layer martial dominator realm too. How magical, it's similar to the sky-towering floating platform at the Dragon God Valley. Lu Ming exclaimed. The sky-towering floating platform at the Dragon God Valley allowed the cultivator's mind to enter a place to cultivate. This formation world allowed the cultivator to enter the formation world and form a body. In front of the platform, there was a huge military camp. Many people could be seen coming and going in the military camp. Let's head over. Ouyang Wushuang led the way, followed by the others. The 9th prince is here. Someone in the camp yelled. Beat the drum, gather the troops. Ouyang Wushuang gave the order. Dong! 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 His deep and resounding voice spread throughout the entire barracks. With a flicker, the troops gathered on the spacious ground. Not long after, the 30,000 troops were gathered. All of them were wearing black armor and were at the first layer martial dominator realm. When they stood together, their aura was intimidating. Ouyang Wushuang stood on the high ground and scanned the crowd. This time, the 6th prince, Ouyang Wuji, and the 1st prince, Ouyang Wudao, are fighting for the position of the crown prince. If you help me become the crown prince, you will be rewarded greatly. When I become the emperor in the future, I will not forget you. Ouyang Wushuang's voice echoed in the camp. We will do our best to help the 9th prince become the crown prince. The 30,000 troops roared. If they could really help the 9th prince seize the position of crown prince, in the future, when Ouyang Wushuang took control of the Xinyuan Empire, their lives would definitely be better. There would definitely be more opportunities. If they could grab hold of this opportunity, they might be able to achieve meteoric success. Alright, we will train together for the next 2 months. I have a large formation here, the Sky Tiger Roaring Formation. For the next 2 months, you will train this formation with all your might. Ouyang Wushuang said. Yes. The 30,000 troops replied, their voices shaking the sky. In a battle, only with the help of a large formation could one unleash a powerful combat strength. Some large formations could even unleash 10 or 100 times the combat strength. An army that did not know how to use formations would be easily defeated by an army that knew how to use formations. Everyone, during the first round of the examination, you should take a good rest. I will need your help in the second and third rounds. Ouyang Wushuang looked at Lu Ming and the others. The first round was the battle of commanding the troops. Lu Ming and the others were only at the first layer martial dominator realm, so they would not be of much help. Their role was mainly in the second and third rounds. 9th prince, please. We will take a look around. A genius from the Purple Flame Villa said. All right. Chapter 1833. Lu Ming and the rest took a casual look and left one after another. The first round had nothing to do with them. In the following days, Ouyang Wushuang focused on training the army and practicing the Sky Tiger Roaring Formation with the 30,000 soldiers. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. During this period of time, Lu Ming had been cultivating wholeheartedly. His cultivation level was approaching the Great Sage Great Mastery. However, after reaching the Great Sage realm, the improvement of his cultivation became slower and more difficult. After cultivating for half a month, Lu Ming stopped for the time being. He walked around and then entered the array ground again. He wanted to see how Ouyang Wushuang was doing during this period of time to train the soldiers. Roar! Roar! On the open ground, the 30,000 soldiers were running on the ground like a torrent. The earth rumbled and their aura was earth-shattering. As far as the eye could see, what came into view was a black torrent. True essence surged and formed a giant tiger in the sky above the 30,000 soldiers. This giant tiger was tens of thousands of feet tall and bigger than a mountain. Its aura was shocking. This was the Sky Tiger Roaring Formation. 30,000 first-layer martial emperors formed a formation and formed a Sky Tiger. even a sage-to-be would be torn apart. Moreover, as the 30,000 soldiers trained for a long time and became more familiar with the formation, their combat strength would become stronger. Lu Ming stood in the sky and watched quietly. After training for a few hours, the army stopped to rest. A figure flew toward Lu Ming. It was Ouyang Wushuang. "Lu Ming, why are you here today?" Ouyang Wushuang said with a smile. "I'm here to see how your training is going." "How is it? Are you confident about the first round of the test?" Lu Ming asked. "I'm not sure." Ouyang Wushuang shook his head and said with a serious face, "I got the Sky Tiger Roaring Formation by accident. It's very powerful, but I can't guarantee that Ouyang Wudao and Ouyang Wuji don't have a powerful formation. If they have a formation that is not weaker than mine, this battle will be very difficult. Moreover, the three sides are restraining each other. The situation is changing rapidly and no one is confident of winning." Ouyang Wushuang said. Lu Ming nodded. The three sides each had 30,000 soldiers, and their strength was about the same. They kept each other in check, and the situation was ever-changing. Before the results were out, no one could predict who would win. Lu Ming lowered his head and pondered for a moment before saying, "I have a battle formation here. Its power is far above the Heavenly Tiger's Roaring Space Formation. Perhaps you can give it a try." "Its power is far above the Heavenly Tiger Roaring Formation?" Ouyang Wushuang's eyes lit up. "Yes, this formation is called the True Dragon Battle Formation." Lu Ming nodded, took out a jade token, and handed it to Ouyang Wushuang. This battle formation was found in the memories of the 9 dragons. Its power was very strong, far above the Sky Tiger Roaring Formation. Ouyang Wushuang scanned with his soul sense, and the joy on his face became stronger. "With this battle formation, I'm even more confident." Ouyang Wushuang said. "Not necessarily. If I don't use it well, I'm afraid I'll be the first to be eliminated." Lu Ming said. He wasn't that optimistic. "You mean, it will cause Ouyang Wudao and Ouyang Wuji to join forces?" Ouyang Wushuang was also a smart person. After thinking about it, he understood what Lu Ming meant. If his battle formation was too strong and made Ouyang Wudao and Ouyang Wuji feel threatened, the two sides would join forces to attack him. No matter how strong the True Dragon Battle Formation was, it would be dangerous. "So, we can only take out 5,000 people to practice the True Dragon Battle Formation. The other 25,000 people will continue to practice the Heavenly Tiger Roaring Space Formation. And during the battle, it's best if those 25,000 people are sacrificed." Lu Ming spoke and told him about a plan. His plan was very simple. When the three sides fought, 25,000 people would be sacrificed. This way, only a few thousand people would be left. Ouyang Wushuang wouldn't be much of a threat to the other two sides. Their attention would only be on each other. This way, Ouyang Wushuang would be able to reap the benefits. Of course, this plan required the remaining few thousand people to be strong enough to form a powerful battle formation. Otherwise, even if he reaped the benefits, it would be useless. "Okay, let's follow this plan." Ouyang Wushuang was also an extremely decisive person. He immediately decided to use Lu Ming's plan. "Ouyang, I hope you can win." Lu Ming smiled. Ouyang Wushuang was a silver inheritor and had to listen to his orders. Lu Ming also hoped that Ouyang Wushuang could defeat the other two sides, seize the position of Crown Prince, and then control the Xinyuan Empire. To Lu Ming, there were only advantages and no disadvantages in doing so. Ouyang Wushuang immediately selected 5,000 people to secretly practice the True Dragon Battle Formation. Lu Ming left the array world and wandered around the Xinyuan Empire. He casually bought some things and then walked toward Ouyang Wushuang's residence. "You trash, hurry up and hand over your pills. Otherwise, I'll cripple you completely." Lu Ming had just turned into a residence when he heard a voice. "Don't even think about it. This is my reward for working hard for a year. Don't even think about taking it. Kill me if you can." At this moment, another voice sounded. Judging from the voice, they didn't sound old. Lu Ming was a little curious. He moved and appeared on the roof of a hall. He looked forward. There were 5 to 6 youths in front of him. They were all 14 or 15 years old. 5 of them surrounded a black-robed youth and stared at him unkindly. The black-robed youth looked at them stubbornly. Ouyang Moli, since you want to die, we'll fulfill your wish. Don't think that we don't dare to kill you. Even if we kill a trash like you who can't even awaken your bloodline, who will care about you? Among the 5 youths, a yellow-robed youth sneered. That's right. Hand over the pills. For a trash like you, even if you get the stabilizing pill, it'll be a waste. You might as well give it to us. Be filial to us in the future. Only then can trash like you live on. Otherwise, you'll die. The other youths sneered. Don't even think about it. The stabilizing pill is mine. It's my last hope. If you want to take it away, you might as well kill me. The black-robed youth, Ouyang Moli, roared. Since that's the case, I'll fulfill your wish. The yellow-robed youth kicked Ouyang Moli in the stomach. Ouyang Moli screamed and flew out. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his face was pale. However, his gaze was still firm as he stared at the yellow-robed youth and the others. If I don't die, I'll pay you back tenfold. Ouyang Moli said. His eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. This gaze made the yellow-robed youth and the others feel a chill in their hearts. You don't have a chance. Today is the day you die. The yellow-robed youth said coldly. His true core strength surged and he was about to attack Ouyang Moli. At this moment, Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. His palm glowed and the reincarnation halberd appeared in his hand. Chapter 1834. The reincarnation halberd vibrated continuously and emitted radiance as if it was about to fly away. Moreover, the tip of the reincarnation halberd was pointing at Ouyang Moli. Lu Ming was surprised. The reincarnation halberd had been in his hands for a long time and there had been no abnormalities. However, since a while ago, the reincarnation halberd had been vibrating non-stop even when it was in the mountain river diagram. It seemed to be because of Ouyang Moli. There was no time for Lu Ming to think too much. With a movement of his body, Lu Ming appeared in front of Ouyang Moli. A gush of energy gushed out. The 5 teenagers were pushed back by this gush of energy. Who are you? How dare you meddle in the affairs of the Ouyang royal family? The yellow-robed youth shouted when he saw Lu Ming. He wasn't afraid at all. You can leave. I won't make things difficult for you. Lu Ming waved his hand. Leave Ouyang Moli to us and we will leave. The yellow-robed youth said. Lu Ming didn't dare to make a move as he thought Lu Ming was afraid of them. Get lost. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold and a cold murderous intent surged out towards the 5 youths. Lu Ming had experienced many battles in his life and his murderous intent was extremely dense. The 5 youths shuddered when they were enveloped by Lu Ming's murderous intent. Their faces turned pale and there wasn't a trace of blood. You wait. Fear flashed in the yellow-robed youth's eyes. He left behind a ruthless sentence and left with the other 4 youths. Senior, thank you for your help. Ouyang Moli stepped forward and bowed to Lu Ming. It's nothing. You don't have to thank me. Why are they targeting you? Lu Ming asked curiously. Because they want to snatch my elixir. This elixir is my last hope. I can't let them snatch it away. Ouyang Moli's eyes were filled with determination. You haven't awakened your bloodline, right? Lu Ming sized up Ouyang Moli and revealed a curious expression. In the Yuan continent, especially in the ancient Sun's sacred ground, it was rare to see a teenager who hadn't awakened his bloodline. No wonder the yellow-robed youth called Ouyang Moli trash. Ouyang Moli's eyes revealed a dejected look. However, in an instant, his eyes became firm again. He clenched his fists and said, "Senior, are you looking down on me too? Although I can't awaken my bloodline now, I'll be able to become a martial artist. Those who look down on me, I will trample them under my feet." Ouyang Moli's eyes was filled with surprise to him. Lulu's eyes to be more, and Lu Ming's eyes too's. The more he was to. Lu he to be. "I'm afraid you won't be able to awaken your bloodline even if you use that stabilizing pill." Said. What? B.S. to be cut, to cut cuts. His to be to bite. His, Ming. It. His. Why? Is it? He. Of it. But, I can help you. At this moment, Lu Ming continued. These words made Ouyang Moli's body tremble again. There was a bright glow in his eyes. That was the light of hope. Then, with a thud, Ouyang Moli knelt in front of Lu Ming and bowed deeply. "Master, please accept a bow from your disciple." "Master? I didn't say I would accept you as my disciple." Lu Ming rubbed his nose speechlessly. "As long as you can help me awaken my bloodline, you will be my master," Ouyang Moli said firmly. "You don't have to be my disciple. You can decide after I help you awaken your bloodline. If you meet the requirements, I can accept you as my disciple on behalf of another senior," Lu Ming said. "Thank you, senior," Ouyang Moli said. "Come with me." Lu Ming walked towards his room and Ouyang Moli followed him. Soon, they arrived at Lu Ming's room. Lu Ming waved his hand and brought Ouyang Moli into the mountain river diagram. They arrived at the peak of a mountain. Ouyang Moli looked around curiously. "This is the cultivation abode. Sit down with your legs crossed. I will help you awaken your bloodline," Lu Ming said. "All right." Ouyang Moli nodded and sat down with his legs crossed. Lu Ming stretched out his hand and tapped on Ouyang Moli's body continuously. Waves of saint power surged into Ouyang Moli's body. Subsequently, layers of saint power wrapped around Ouyang Moli, stimulating the bloodline in his body and helping him awaken his bloodline power. Buzz. Not long after, Ouyang Moli's spine emitted a blood-red light. As time passed, the blood-red light became thicker and thicker. Finally, a black vortex appeared and floated above Ouyang Moli's head. At this moment, there was a bright glow in Lu Ming's eyes as he stared intently at the vortex. Reincarnation. It's the reincarnation bloodline and the reincarnation body. Lu Ming muttered to himself in amazement. Ouyang Moli had awakened the reincarnation bloodline. As he cultivated, his body constitution would become the reincarnation body. Once he reached the saint realm, he would be able to control the reincarnation law. He was a rare genius, one of the sons of heaven, the reincarnation son. Like Xiang, he was born with the life body and would be able to control the life law in the future. The life law and reincarnation law were two of the 10 supreme laws. Lu Ming did not expect to meet a son of heaven here. No wonder the reincarnation halberd kept vibrating. It was obvious that the reincarnation halberd had sensed Ouyang Moli's body constitution. "My luck is really good." Lu Ming revealed a smile on his face. He had promised to help the reincarnation emperor find an inheritor. The son of reincarnation was definitely the best inheritor. Bloodline. I've awakened my bloodline. I've finally awakened my bloodline. Ouyang Moli shouted excitedly when he sensed the awakening of his bloodline. For so many years, no matter how hard he cultivated, he could not awaken his bloodline. He was called trash. He had once thought that he was trash. If it was not for his strong willpower, he would have given up on martial arts. Now that his bloodline had finally awakened, how could he not be excited? How could he not be excited? After a while, Ouyang Moli finally calmed down and knelt in front of Lu Ming with a thud. Disciple pays his respects to master. Your master isn't me. I will pass on the inheritance of another person to you. That person is your true master. Lu Ming said. No. In my heart, I only recognize you as my master. You have given me a new lease of life. No one can compare to you. Ouyang Moli said firmly. Are you sure? That person is a great emperor expert. Lu Ming said. A great emperor? Shock flashed across Ouyang Moli's eyes. A great emperor was the pinnacle of the world. The heavenly emperor was just a legend. A great emperor was the pinnacle. Lu Ming wanted to pass on the inheritance of a great emperor to him. Chapter 1835. Lu Ming nodded in his heart. Ouyang Moli knew how to repay kindness and had a good character. Lu Ming liked him very much. Well, since you insist on worshipping me as your master, I'll accept you as my disciple. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and said. The son of reincarnation was rare in the world. There were only a few of them since ancient times. Lu Ming was also very tempted by such a genius. He pondered for a moment and nodded in agreement. However, I'll still pass on the inheritance of that senior to you. You have to respect that senior as your master. Do you understand? Lu Ming said. Ouyang Moli was overjoyed and said, I understand. Greetings, master. Well, get up. Lu Ming instructed. Ouyang Moli got up obediently. Before you, I've already accepted 2 nominal disciples and a prodisciple. You'll be ranked second among the prodisciples in the future. Do you understand? Lu Ming continued. Yes, master. Ouyang Moli said respectfully. Well, let's talk about you. Your surname is Ouyang. You should be a member of the royal family of the Xinyuan Empire. Why did those people treat you like that? Lu Ming asked. Since he had accepted Ouyang Moli as his disciple, he naturally had to know more about him. Master, although I'm a member of the royal family, I'm just a branch of the royal family, then, Ouyang Moli explained. After countless years of development and reproduction, the Ouyang royal family of the Xinyuan Empire had given birth to countless branches. The population was unimaginably large. Ouyang Moli was a member of one of the branches. However, a few years ago, his parents were killed by the people of the Daluo Heaven sect when they were cultivating outside. Now, he was the only one left in his branch. In the past few years, he relied on his identity as the descendant of the Ouyang family to get a job in the palace. Unfortunately, he couldn't awaken his bloodline. After so many years of hard work, his cultivation was only in the martial soldier realm. Moreover, he was all alone, so naturally, he was often bullied by others. He had always endured, hoping that one day, he would awaken his bloodline and soar into the sky. At the same time, he would be able to avenge his parents. This time, due to his hard work, his superiors rewarded him with a stabilizing pill. He hoped to awaken his bloodline with this stabilizing pill. However, he was besieged by the yellow-robed youth and the others. They wanted to snatch his stabilizing pill. The yellow-robed young man and the others were also from the Ouyang royal family, but since they were able to awaken their bloodline, their cultivation was naturally higher than Ouyang Moli's. Lu Ming nodded his head silently. Such things were happening all the time in the entire Yuan continent. Wasn't he in a similar situation back then? Fortunately, he was discovered by Lu Ming this time. Otherwise, a peerless genius would have been buried. In fact, this world had never lacked peerless geniuses. It was just a matter of whether they could be unearthed. Since ancient times, countless geniuses had been buried. Some physiques and some geniuses had been outstanding since young and displayed rare talents. Naturally, they wouldn't be buried. They would be discovered by the big shots and focused on nurturing them. However, some physiques and bloodlines were hidden. Without strong assistance, it would be difficult to awaken them. For example, Ouyang Moli had the reincarnation bloodline and was hidden. Moreover, he was from the Ouyang royal family. No one paid attention to him and he was regarded as a good-for-nothing. If he hadn't met Lu Ming and the reincarnation halberd reacted, Lu Ming wouldn't have discovered him. If this continued, this peerless genius would be buried in a few decades. Therefore, some powerful forces would send experts to travel the world to search for geniuses. Back then, wasn't the mid-autumn moon discovered by the experts from the Soul Sanctum? In the future, if I succeed in my cultivation, I must find the Daluo Heaven's sect and avenge my parents. At the end of his speech, Ouyang Moli clenched his fists tightly. Then you should focus on your cultivation. I'll teach you a succession first. Sit tight. Lu Ming said. Ouyang Moli immediately sat down. Then, Lu Ming took out the Reincarnation Emperor's world core and sealed it into Ouyang Moli's mind with his powerful cultivation. Ouyang Moli's body immediately emitted a pitch-black light. A pitch-black vortex spun above his head as if it led to the abyss of hell. Buzz! Not long after, the vortex suddenly shook and split into two vortexes. After a while, another vortex appeared, and there were now 3 vortexes. Every time the vortex split, Ouyang Moli's aura would soar. A few hours later, there were 6 vortexes floating above Ouyang Moli's head. It was a wonderful sight. 6 paths of reincarnation. Lu Ming muttered as his eyes lit up. This was the real 6 paths of reincarnation bloodline. Moli's cultivation has reached the martial king realm. Lu Ming exclaimed in his heart. Ouyang Moli had just integrated with the Reincarnation Emperor's world core and his cultivation had soared to the martial king realm. After another 2 hours, Ouyang Moli opened his eyes. My cultivation, Ouyang Moli felt the boundless power in his body and his eyes were filled with shock. Moli, you have just integrated with the world core and your cultivation has soared. However, don't get lost. During this time, stay in my mountain river diagram and familiarize yourself with your power. Don't increase your cultivation for now. Lu Ming reminded him. It was not a good thing for his cultivation to soar too quickly. He had to stabilize his foundation. Yes, master. Ouyang Moli bowed and accepted the order. Cultivate well. If you have any problems, look for me anytime. Also, this reincarnation halberd is for you. Lu Ming took out the reincarnation halberd and handed it to Ouyang Moli. Ouyang Moli was grateful. As for Lu Ming, he went to the enlightenment ancient tree and meditated on the chaotic calamity finger. Time passed day by day. Lu Ming would go to the array world every once in a while to watch Ouyang Wushuang train the army. The army of 30,000 was divided into 2 groups. One group had 25,000 people who continued to cultivate the Sky Tiger Roaring Array. The other 5,000 people were taken away by Ouyang Wushuang to cultivate the True Dragon Array. In the blink of an eye, the 2-month training period was up. On this day, Lu Ming, Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the Sky Prides of the Purple Flame Villa entered the array world. They stood on a high ground with Ouyang Wushuang while the army of 30,000 people was below them. Let's go. Ouyang Wushuang ordered and the army of 30,000 people set off into the distance. At the same time, the other 2 groups of troops also set off toward the center of the array world. Not long after, the 3 groups of troops met in the center of the array world. The 3 groups of troops formed a triangle and faced each other. No one dared to make a move. To the left of Lu Ming and the others was a group of troops wearing purple armor. At a glance, it was like a purple sea. This was the army led by the first prince, Ouyang Wudao. To the right of them was a group of troops wearing silver armor. This was the army led by Ouyang Wuji. 6th brother, 9th brother, you'd better surrender. This time, the position of crown prince is mine. You can't win against me. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.